This week on the podcast, we venture to the Abaddon Hotel as we talk about Hell House, LLC. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dissect That Film podcast, where we dissect the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite films and film franchises. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, my wonderful co-hosts, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hello.
Hey! And joining us once again are our good friends, Boomer and Gabby of Podcast in the Woods.
Woo. Hi.
Woo! I was looking back, I was like, what episode were you guys on last? It was the Predator episode, and it was episode like 76, and we're on like 132. I was like, damn, it's been way too long since we've had you guys on the show. But we got to hang out with you guys on your show, and that was a blast, where we got to talk about Dead Alive, a movie that Gabby doesn't ever want to talk about ever again.
Fucking A.
But today we're going to be talking about a movie that she picked. Well, she picked, but it was kind of a co-op here conversation where we were like, hey, you want to cover this movie? She's like, duh.
A little bit.
We are talking about Hell House LLC from 2016. This is a first for us because we have never covered a found footage film on this podcast.
Shut the fuck up.
Nope. This is our very first found footage film.
I feel like I've insulted someone.
I feel attacked. No, I'm so excited that this is your first found footage.
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
We're found footage virgins in this.
Yeah, like
Gabby was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" No.
Like
I'm done.
We have to verify this. This is not the first time I've ever seen a found footage film. This is just the first time we've done an episode covering one.
That's what I meant.
So just for anybody out there, I've watched plenty of found footage films, especially in since the podcast started, and since I've met wonderful people like Boomer and Gabby. Especially Gabby is the one who introduced me to this movie. Is the reason why I watched it the first place, because this is my second go round with this movie. And so I want to thank Gabby for telling me about this one, because we're gonna talk about our experiences with this movie, and this is exciting. But let's go.
I cannot sit still. I'm so excited.
Let's go through some of the behind the scenes stuff, of course, before we get into anything. So this was written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah.
All right. Produced by Joe Bendelli and Matt DiPola. This stars Ryan Jennifer Jones as Sarah Havel, Danny Bellini as Alex Taylor, Gore Abrams as Paul O'Keefe, Jared Hacker as Tony Prescott, Adam Schneider as Andrew McNamara, Alice, I don't know this last name, Balaik as Diane Graves, Bill Hess as Joey Scheffler, Lauren A. Kennedy as Melissa, and Jeb Krieger as Martin Cliver. To be honest, a couple of those guys, I'm like, I don't know who those people are. I'm just reading what Wikipedia just gave me. This movie was released October 16, 2015 at the Telluride Horror Show and fully released on November 1st, 2016. Was this a Shudder exclusive at first? Like, did this go straight to streaming services, or was this
Prime?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's everywhere. You could literally find this movie on like almost every streaming platform. It's on Tubi, I think, right now. It's on Screenbox along with all of its sequels, and it's on Shudder as well. So you can literally find it anywhere. And the original cut is 83 minutes long, and then there's a director's cut, which is slightly longer, but the way that they set it up just was weird. Have you seen the director's cut of this? I take it you have, Gabby.
Yeah, of course.
I don't like how they set it up, though. They have it where they like set up this like 15 minutes of pre stuff, and then they play the movie, and then they have like deleted scenes that a lot of the deleted scenes kind of just look like scenes I've already seen. with like one, maybe 5 seconds of something maybe slightly different. I don't know. It was weird. I just didn't like how they set it up.
I don't love the term cash grab, and I don't think that that's what that was. I think that it was just I've spoken to Stephen Cognetti and Joe. I'm not name dropping, God.
Oh, do it.
Several times I've spoken to Stephen and Joe, and nothing that they've ever done has been to like further anything for themselves. It's just that this movie has been such a like word of mouth movie, and it's been such a like a cult film that they just want to give more. So whatever they had, they just kind of threw it together, and that was the director's cut. Just so people had more to see.
Right. Yeah, because the beginning, it kind of gives us a little like intro from Stephen Cognetti about like what the version of the film you're going to see. Because it pretty much the difference between the theatrical cut, well, not theatrical, but the initial cut of the film and then the director's cut is the order of scenes. I guess the way that it was originally released, scenes were like put in different spots, where the director's cut is like his vision, his path of the film. So you're going to see mostly the same scenes in both cuts, but they're just in different spots of the movie from what he said in the beginning. So
yeah, kind of all he had. I mean, like they had put everything into the original that it was just like, oh, well, this was how he wrote it. So here.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys
I have a signed director's cut DVD.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is definitely a movie worth owning. Is there a Blu-ray of this? I didn't, to be honest, because it's the fact it's on like all these streaming services. I just never bothered to look for physical versions of it. So there's not a Blu-ray. It's just DVDs.
Yeah, well, that's like that's what's kind of wild about this.
I know.
Am I too loud?
Oh, no. I was just reacting to the fact that there's no Blu-ray.
That's like, no, actually, you're like, oh,
it's like, God, my ears.
But yeah, this is one that because I also like physical media, and especially with things that I really love, because like you said, this is on absolutely every streaming service that you can find, with the exception of maybe Netflix, because Netflix fucking sucks. But with the exception of that,
fuck you, Netflix.
Yeah, not sponsored, obviously. But with the exception of that, it is basically on every single other streaming service that you can find. So, you're obviously not in any danger of losing it. But I mean, who knows whether that will be the case in like 10 years. So anytime that I like really love a movie, I want to buy it. And yeah, I went searching for this, and yeah, the only thing that you can get is like a DVD copy. And I think that's also why they did kind of release the director's cut as they did. I mean, the way that to see this movie is that original cut. I think that is the better. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's the better cut of this film. But in order to get the fans some of those scenes and some of the things that they just haven't seen, they just had to release it like that, because even on the DVD, there's not like a whole lot of special features and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of bare bones. So I'm hoping this gets picked up by Arrow or something like that, and then we get a proper Blu-ray release of this film, because I would be first in line for that.
You can get the first, second, but you cannot get the third on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Bummer. Yeah.
See, yeah, just speaking of the sequels, there was 2 sequels. You had part 2, which was just called The Abaddon Hotel, and then part 3 was The Lake of Fire, and it builds this trilogy based on the hotel itself, and of course, like the prior owner, which you hear about in this film, but it kind of dives deeper into the lore and the history behind the hotel and just the weird shit that happens in the hotel. And it kind of tries to get darker and darker. I don't want to go too deep into the sequels, because I feel like we could cover the sequels on the show at some point, because there's a lot going on in those sequels. Yeah, I think that would be a good time. I'm going to state it right out front here. I did not like the sequels, not even remotely as much as I liked this first one. I think this first one is just so, it really hits. It just hits so hard, and I think that's a problem with a lot of found footage sequels, is I just don't think they can live up to. I know like Paranormal Activity, people have their opinions on like sequels being better than the original or whatever, but this is just my opinion. The sequels didn't live up to this first one, but that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get too deep into it because like I said, I'd love to actually cover those at some point down the road. But I'm not going to ask you guys what your first experience is with this movie because you guys have an episode on this movie. So if you want to know fully your thoughts on everything to do with this movie, just go check out Podcast in the Woods episode on Hell House LLC. The question I'm going to ask is what is your favorite found footage film?
Oh,
Hell House
shit.
LLC.
Okay, let's pretend Hell House doesn't exist.
Besides this,
What's a close second for you? I know it's the Poughkeepsie tapes, right?
That's Boomer's
Oh
favorite.
God, I fucking hate that fucking
Or what
movie.
was it? Paranormal Highway? Was that another one? That's like a. You can tell I listen to your show.
Yeah, Gabby,
I
if you want
might
to
have
say,
to go basic bitch and just say Blair Witch.
There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with that. That's a
Yeah, I mean, that was my introduction to found footage. It was, found footage is my favorite subgenre, so it's going to be hard for me to come up with something like right off the bat.
actually,
That
you
is
know
my
what? Sorry to cut
favorite
you
other
off,
than
but
that.
I think that's actually a better question. Not the fact of like what's your favorite. What was your introduction? So I think that I actually like that better. So thanks for changing the question up for me because that actually is a better question. So yeah, what was
You're welcome.
what's everybody's first experience with the found footage genre? So Gabby gave us her answer. So Boomer, what about you?
I mean, it had to be the same thing, because Gabby and I are the same age. So it was the Blair Witch Project, and I went to see that, and it's funny how many people thought that was like a real film, that they were actually like going to go into the theater and watch this like psychological snuff film, apparently, which obviously was not the case, but it was still it's a great movie. I love the Blair Witch Project, and the marketing for that was incredible. So I went and watched that opening night, and it was fucking packed. I mean, the theater was just absolutely full, and people could say whatever they want about that movie now, but there were people shitting their pants in the seats during that film. And it was like me and three friends of mine. We went and watched it, and then afterward, it's like, let's get some beer and go camping. So that's what we did. It was a great experience.
Dumbasses.
All right. Well,
Wait, I have a question though.
yeah, go ahead.
Is Faces of Death considered found footage?
Oh, my dad used to watch the fuck out of those.
I mean, weren't they all like supposed to look like they were being recorded? By
Yeah,
somebody?
yeah, they're all supposed to look
not like
real,
not like an actual
or-
cameraman, but like somebody,
Yeah, yeah,
everyday people just going to record and stuff. So I would say yes.
yeah, absolutely.
I would say I think they have come out and said that they were a mixture of staged and actual like news footage of like deaths.
Because what were those?
So
like
if
in
that's the
80s?
case, that was my introduction. No, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they came
I
out
saw them in the
early,
90s.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I would have to change my answer. If Faces of Death is considered found footage, that would be my introduction. And Blair Witch would be my favorite.
all right.
Yeah, very entertaining. Family pictures, Faces of Death.
Absolutely, yeah.
Watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
family
Watch with the
friendly.
kids and thump that Bible before you go to bed.
Dan, Angela, what about you?
Do you need a moment?
Yeah, I need a
She
moment.
needs a moment. It's between two movies, and they both came out the same year. Well, the other one didn't, but this will all make sense. It's either between Cloverfield or Wreck.
Oh.
Okay, so it's
those
one.
are two
You
good
wouldn't let
choices.
me watch that one.
They are, and I don't know which one it was my first one because, of course, the obvious 4 reasons I don't watch stuff growing up. But Cloverfield was a bit obviously it's kaiju, so I'm like, do I have to see this shit? Like, I still love that movie. And then Quarantine came out the same year, but I didn't find out about Wreck until after Quarantine came out. So they both would have been roughly around the same time. I love Cloverfield for what it is, a giant monster movie and all that stuff. And I think it did a good job. And the motion stuff doesn't bother me. But Wreck is really good. I never seen Quarantine. I watched Wreck and everybody's like, the original's better. And I never even fucked with Quarantine.
I've actually heard Quarantine's actually good.
I've heard it's not bad,
remake.
but I've just heard that Wreck was
whatever you
better.
want to consider it. Yeah.
So
It's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I really like Jennifer Carpenter, so I was
yeah, she's
a
fine.
fan of it.
But I always remember.
I don't like her.
Fuck her.
Thank you, Booms. I don't either. I was just
Fair
smiling
enough.
and nodding.
Okay,
But yeah, I
fair
don't
enough.
like her either. Yeah.
I'm a big Dexter fan, and I was a fan of her in Dexter.
I love
Okay.
Dexter, and I thought she was a weirdo.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand her.
Stupid face took away from that.
Fucking Deb. I couldn't. Yeah.
Ah,
That's
Hey,
great.
Dexter, I'm your sister, and I swear a lot. Like, fuck
See what
off.
y'all
I
started.
couldn't.
sorry, I love it.
That's great.
Wreck was just I like it because I like zombie stuff, and then like the ending of that movie is scary as shit. So
Yeah. That whole movie is scary as shit.
I thought the beginning I enjoy. Of course, there's scary, but like when the one older, heavier set woman like charges them and shit down the hallway and whatnot. But it's like when she gets locked in that room by herself, whatever the fuck that scraggly string bean pale motherfucker or whatever that lives in the attic.
Angela, what was your introduction to the found footage genre?
Oh wait, I got this. Go ahead.
Oh,
Dan's just gonna get pushed off into the floor, and he's gonna be gone.
Probably.
It has to be Cloverfield. Don't hate me, but I've never watched Blair Witch.
Nobody's mad. That's okay.
I'm mad. No.
I know.
Boomer.
What?
I think
No,
it's
Boomer.
hilarious that we're trying to introduce the kinder, more gentler Gabby, and Boomer's just like, fuck everybody.
He's got to fill that void, man.
Hey, you see that right there?
I've still got to spread hate and
Can you
discontent
see
for
what I'm
Evil
pointing
Dead
at?
2.
Kind of.
Her,
What is it?
Her
I
Infinity
built the
Gauntlet back-
Infinity Gauntlet today, and it's flipping everybody off.
Oh, nice.
So there, it's constantly there for you.
Oh, for me, I probably would say Paranormal Activity. I was not big into this genre growing up. Like for me, it was all like those big, the big, things like Jason and Freddy and Chucky. I've mentioned it many, many times when it comes to like my introduction to horror. Found footage just wasn't a thing I was really interested in until I probably was in high school. And when me and my wife first got together, we used to watch movies all the time. That's what, like Cloverfield. I remember seeing that. Wasn't a big fan of it at the time. I, to be honest, have not seen it in 15 years. So that definitely needs a rewatch at some point. But Paranormal Activity, I think, was the first one that we had watched together. And it was, super late at night, dark, just how you need to watch these movies. And to be honest, that whole movie.
Sure you watched the movie?
Oh.
No, that was
Spicy.
no, that was after the movie was over. DVD and chill. This Netflix.
It's like, well, the movie's over. Would you
Netflix
like to
rental and
accompany me to
chill?
my chambers?
He's like, hey, I've seen half the movie anyway.
Would you like to-
Would you like a proper dicking, ma'am?
Oh my god. Yeah, there we go. There's
I'm
my
not sure
answer
why he
to
doesn't
it.
listen to this. He's never going to be on the show now.
Oh my god.
The only thing I remember about that movie was it was really sexy.
Paranormal Activity.
What, Parker watching it with his wife? That's really specific. Like, what was going on here,
Booms
Boomer?
is letting us know his
Oh,
secret
Lord.
desires.
Set some small cameras in everybody's house. Like, this will come in handy later.
So before we start talking about the plot of this movie,
Booms, you're so weird.
we're going to talk about the little bit of facts that I've been able to find on this movie. It was kind of hard to find like all the details. Gabby, you might have some info that I won't mention. So this movie was kind of brought up back, that the idea for this movie was brought up back in 2011. Pretty much executive producers were just like, hey, we want a haunted house movie. We want a movie about a haunted house gone wrong. And I think it was like 2014 when they actually got a script and they started filming. And then the biggest issue for them in the beginning was trying to find a place to actually make the movie. Well, what they did is the Abaddon Hotel was a hotel in Lehighton, is that how you pronounce it? In Pennsylvania?
Lehighton, yeah.
Lehighton,
Yeah.
called the Waldorf Hotel, which at the time was a haunted house attraction. And the production
Still is.
designer, and the production designer, Angie Moyer, she is the one who owns it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Sweetest lady on the planet.
I take it you've met her.
Yes.
Because you've like you stated earlier that you've talked to the director and the filmmakers behind this, correct?
And I've been to Waldorf. I live in Pennsylvania. It's about an
Oh.
hour 45 from my house.
Ooh.
So I've been there twice. Once during the summer when it wasn't open, and then once I went to the actual haunt. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's where I met Joe and Steven.
Very cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the watching some of the behind the scenes on the director's cut, you actually can see some of their like them going to the filming locations and trying to find like the different, the hotel itself and all the different areas that they were filming. We got some cool like deleted scene type things where they were actually fucking with the actors with the different props. Like actually like, Joe would like literally move that creepy clown around the hotel without them filming and like set it up in different spots to fuck with the crew and the cast. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of behind the scenes stuff with this that I could find. I don't, as you know, anyone listens to the show, as you know, I don't deep dive into research on the movies we talk about. I just try to find the little bit I can, and then we talk about stuff in the plot. Gabby, do you have anything you want to talk about behind the scenes wise of this movie before we talk about the plot?
I think the most interesting couple things about behind the scenes is Steven is obviously, I think it's kind of, I think it's obvious when you watch the film. Steven is a lifelong horror fan.
Mm-hmm.
He likes a movie that has like rewatchability. He likes to he likes movies that have subtleties that maybe you won't pick up on one watch, but you'll pick it up on a subsequent watch. And I've seen this movie countless times, and I can attest to that. I mean, like there are so many things that I still see in this. And I actually showed this to some friends last night for the first time, their first time. And I can't even remember what it was because I was drinking a little bit. And it was something that I was like, oh my God, I never noticed that before. But I think this movie is he wrote it well because he wanted to write a horror movie for horror fans. And I think that he did a really good job on that. And also there is kind of a throwaway line in the film that the Abaddon Hotel was kind of set up like H.H. Holmes Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
That it's hard to figure your way around and, all that stuff. When I went to Waldorf, my friend and I ended up meeting these guys who I had already met Angie online. I had never met her in person. But we had spoken a couple times, and these guys, like, they knew her personally, and they have their own YouTube channel. They go to haunts around the country. That's like their YouTube channel. And my friend and I met them, and because they knew everybody, they took us through that. They put the lights up and the actors kind of hung back a little bit. And I got to tour, instead of touring Waldorf Hotel, I got to tour Abaddon, and I got to like walk through the entire set of the movie. And I think that that's the most interesting thing that they put in there, that if anybody is ever lucky enough to go there, please go. It's amazing. But it really is set up like that. Like you can't figure out with full lighting, nobody's jumping out at you. You're just walking through as an observer. It is a very, very effective set that they chose. It's a very effective location. And other behind the scenes, the clown was not planned.
That like
they didn't
the
have
main
anything
clown
for
there?
that. That fucking clown. Yeah, they didn't have. That wasn't something that they bought. It wasn't something that they built. They just needed something, so they just came up with it. And for that to be that, I don't know. I've never been afraid of clowns. I don't know about you guys, but clowns don't really do anything for me. I think it's a scary fucking clown.
Yeah. I mean, also
Yeah,
just what the clown does in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it scary.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I'm sure I have more, but
Well, while we're going through the plot, if you got something you want to say, just make sure you just start talking. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. You've been on the show. You know what you can do. Just yeah. If you got things to say, speak up, because I'm just gonna keep going. Okay. So the movie starts. If you watch the director's cut, it's pretty much the director telling you, Stephen Cognetti telling us, the version of the movie you're about to see. So like I had stated before, the director's cut is the same as the original cut, just scenes are kind of put in different orders. The movie opens to we have Diane. She's a reporter and she is interviewing people asking what happened at the Abaddon Hotel. And you find out that there was a fire there that killed 15 people during pretty much the hotel was turned into a haunt called Hell House, and things happened and people died and nobody knows what actually happened. So the first thing we see is a video recorded from one of the actual tour goers that brings us through the haunt. You get to see, you pretty much see strange things happening. You see, like, I think it was Sarah, like, go by one of the girl that was part of that group, and she's like, "Huh, that doesn't seem right. Well, you know, what's going on?" And just kind of things start slowly, rising up, and then everything just kind of goes to hell.
The person behind the camera in that scene, by the way, was Steven.
Yes, he was.
He filmed that himself.
Yeah, he was that cameraman, and then I think the producer was Diane's cameraman.
Jonathan, yeah.
So yeah, it pretty much all starts from the basement. They like get to the basement, to the top of the basement, and people are like rushing up the stairs. Chaos is happening. People are falling over. Things in the kitchen start falling. And that's when we get the 911 call that kind of is all broken up. Like, you know, it's a woman crying, you know, saying like things are happening, but you can't really understand what she's saying. All you hear is like, into the wall, but you really don't understand what that means at this moment. It's just really creepy.
Yeah, what I like about like that, like the beginning of the film is not only does it set up a good mystery, and I won't go too far into that in case somebody else wants to touch on it, but what really stuck out to me is how wonderful this paints a picture of like the spooky time season. Like you feel that excitement with the crowd, like you're there with everybody in line for the haunt, and it's just like it gives you all those like wonderful vibes. I'm a person who loves haunts. I've been to several, and there's nothing like that. Like getting in line, and there's a sense of camaraderie there with like the other people, and you just get to talk and like meet people and talk about horror, talk about film, talk about like what you're expecting from this, and it's so much fun. Like being in line for a haunt is almost as much fun as going through it, and this movie does like just a phenomenal job of setting that up and giving you those type of vibes.
Oh, absolutely. I don't go on haunts much because there's really not a lot around here, but I remember going to Salem a couple of years ago, and it was great because like my wife's not a big fan of going through haunts, and a couple other people that we were with weren't a fan of haunts, and just kind of seeing their reaction and them like being all huddled together as like me and the two other guys I was with just kind of standing there just observing them going through. It was awesome. It was hilarious. There was a couple times where it gets you, but yeah, they're a lot of fun. And then, you know, you get haunts that just go way too far, and there's movies about those.
Did you guys see that one? Are you talking about the one on Hulu right now about McCamey Manor?
Yeah.
That guy's a fucking weirdo.
Way too much.
I've heard about those.
That's something. Nope.
I've watched several people's experiences on YouTube, and it's like,
I listened to a podcast about it once. It's fucked. I'm like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
No, that guy found a legal way to like fucking rape and torture people.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Gross. Fuck you, Russ.
That is a documentary I will never watch again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it hurt.
After the 911 call, we see some pictures that were taken and posted. Someone had broken into the hotel after the incident, taking pictures of like blood smears all over the walls. He was like blood going up the basement, like just weird things, all the weird stuff that no one wanted to let anybody know about. And yeah, fuck the basement. Just fuck this basement. Just anytime that anyone goes, you just know some bad shit is about to go on if they go down to that basement.
They set it up effectively because anytime for me, like goes at the basement, I was like, oh shit, some shit's gonna go down. Somebody fucking walking down by the basement, or somebody looks at the basement. I'm like, don't do that.
I have an anecdote about the basement.
Okay.
When I went, right, so I met the guys that were friends with the owners.
Mm-hmm.
First thing they said was, do you want to go down in the basement? Do you want to see the basement? Because then since the movie's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, it's not just a yearly haunt. It's like they do year-round events. Like you can go there anytime during the year and they have something going on. They actually just did a Friday the 13th reunion there.
Oh, that's
Oh, nice.
awesome.
Last weekend. But like back then it was just the yearly haunt, and those guys were like, we can get you in the basement. Do you want to go in the basement? I was like, fuck you. No. Like, what do you mean? No, I don't
I've seen this movie before.
I've seen this movie 100 times. No, I know what happened down there. And also, I've been a lifelong horror fan. I don't do basements. Okay. And then the next person that we met was Angie, and she was like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you in person. Do you want to go down to the basement? And I was like, no.
Sounds like a weird cult. Like, let's
Absolutely
go down to the
not.
basement.
Yeah. And she was like, that's so funny. You don't want to see it? And I was like, no. And she was like, girl, I don't blame you. She was like, the ceiling's really low. You'll get cobwebs in your hair. As soon as I heard cobweb, it was like double no. I don't do spiders either. And then when I met Steven and Joe, and I was like, oh my God, I mean, I didn't cry in front of them. I collapsed in the parking lot. But my proudest moment is the fact that I did not cry in front of Steven and Joe, because I cried when I met Joe Bob, and I cried through an entire Barry Manilow concert, but I did not cry when I met Steven and Joe. And the first thing that they said, do you want to go check out the basement? Do you want to go in the basement? And I was just like, I even said to them, to the filmmakers, I was like, you guys realize what a great movie you made? No. I saw the movie and they were like, oh my God, that's so fake. And I was like, no. Wait, it is to you. You filmed it. I watched it. Different experiences. Yeah. No.
Let's just chain your hands to the wall. This will be fun. Come on, we'll do a photo.
Yeah.
This will be great. I see how this shit starts. This is like the ending of your movie. Don't do this to me. You should go check it out. It'll be fine.
I don't know if they put like a separate exit, like if they did add, because, you know, like to do certain things with like tours and open it to public, you have to have like extra exits and whatever. I don't know if they've done that since, but back then, like, it was the thing, like, do you want to see it? We'll take you down there, but we don't do tours. And like, they have Escape House that they turn into an escape room. They have like a haunt tour that you actually go in with a paranormal investigator. They have, they did a thing that you could sleep there. And you could like choose where you slept, like which room. Yeah. And one of the rooms, the first room to sell out was the basement. But Joe and Steven told me, like, yeah, it's miserable down there. You made the right choice. You don't want to go down there.
What was the second most requested room? Paul's room?
2C.
Was that the room Paul was in, or was that the room that Sarah and Alex were in?
Sarah.
Right.
Yeah.
The room that Paul was in was creepy as hell too, because things happened to him.
Yeah.
Fuck. Let's get to that.
You got the wrong kind of night call.
I have always had a severe anxiety with basements of any kind. We lived in a house one time where we kept hearing noises and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And it sounded like the batteries on a smoke detector going dead. We changed all the batteries in this house, in every smoke detector we could find. And it was something in the basement that kept making that noise. And I'm like, nope, bye. You're
I
good.
guess I'm going to hear that noise forever.
I will just ignore it.
You ever seen that movie, The Ruins?
No.
Where the plants mimic noises? Like, there you go. That's what they're doing. They're just like, come on down here, change the batteries. It'll be sweet.
Because it was a stone basement. And I was like, hell no, I'm not going down in that.
We've got candy down here.
No.
Ooh, piece of candy.
What kind? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Count me in.
I am so with you, Angela. I will send you a picture of my basement landing. I blocked my basement entrance. So like you can open the door to my basement, but I have a snowblower, a grill, a shovel, like boxes, everything. You can't go down. I don't want anything coming up, and I'm not going down there.
And
that's fair. But your cat is totally showing us her basement entrance. So just
Maya, oh my God, go girl.
Hey.
Do it, girl. This is my hello fans. This is a preview to my OnlyFans account.
My only cat account.
Showing you my kitty's kitty. Welcome.
So it is time to interview Sarah. Supposedly she was the only surviving person from Hell House. And she brings some tapes because Alex, who was kind of like the head of it all, wanted everything recorded in the haunt. So, and somehow she was able to get them all after everything happened. And so she gives them to Diane. And so one of her guys goes off and looks through the footage. And that's pretty much what this movie is him going through all of the tapes. And then, like, of course, like sprinkled in, you get interviews from people who, like, you get who was the older guy? What was he? Was he like a psychiatrist or something? Or
I don't know. To me, he came off as,
I think.
yeah, I was about to say, he came off as like the town historian to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it ever gave his title, but that's kind of what I got because he had information that nobody else had during the entire
I
movie.
believe his actual occupation was greatest mustache of all time.
I can attest to that. That was a nice mustache.
He was selling fried chicken, and they just started interviewing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the
Oh,
guy
yeah,
who, like,
that's
he
true.
knew a lot about Alex. Like, that was what he primarily would talk about, is like, Alex was this kind of guy or this kind of guy and stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool, man. But you had the guy who, they talked to the guy who goes into the hotel to take all those pictures. I think there was, I can't remember what the woman, they interview another woman, but I don't remember if she was just a patron to the haunt or did she work there and she left? Was she just a patron?
She was the one that was in front of the camera.
Okay.
In the YouTube video in the beginning. Yeah.
She looked like a completely different person. That's why it, like, threw me off. It didn't look like the same woman. So I was like, oh, is she just, I don't know. I got confused because I thought.
As a girl, I liked that.
I thought initially when I first saw this movie, I thought she was the one they hired that got chained up in the basement later. But then I remembered, oh yeah, she died.
She's super dead.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I
I
thought
liked
that-
that they did that you couldn't tell the different, that you couldn't tell it was the same person because it was like, here's what happened to me. Oh, but I'm going to be on camera. I need my hair done and my makeup. And I mean, I would do the same damn thing. Fuck a tragedy. I got to be ready.
If I'm going to die, I'm going to die in style.
Hey, at least wear, clean underwear.
Yeah.
Preach.
So going through the tapes, this is where we meet our group. So we have Sarah, we have Alex. Alex is kind of the, he's the guy who's, who bought this, or did they buy the hotel or did they just rent it out? Like what? I can't remember what he actually does, but he's the one who orchestrates everything because they have a haunt in New York City and it's really successful. And then I guess they wanted to start it somewhere else to kind of bring people out. And Sarah is his girlfriend. Then you have Paul, who is primarily just, he's the cameraman. He's the guy who records most of the time, doesn't really do much else. Then you have Tony, who is one of the friends who helps out. And then you have Mac, who I'm guessing is like the way that it's like portrayed is he's like a co-partner with Alex on the haunt.
Alex and Matt grew up together.
Okay.
They've been friends their whole lives. Yeah.
Yeah, the way that they kind of like interact with each other was like they were co-partners for this whole thing. Like they are the ones that started the haunt in New York City, and then they're the ones who kind of worked it out to come out here and to the outskirts of the city to start this new haunt. You get the interaction in the car, not really that important, but it's kind of just introducing you to everybody, the fact that like Mac and Alex fight a lot over things that you kind of don't know why. Like it doesn't really clarify until later on in the movie. So they explore the dilapidated hotel. I just love how they're all just like, yeah, this is a piece of shit. This is like, what are we doing here? This isn't gonna work. And Alex, of course, he's like, come on, guys, it's gonna be great. He's envisioning this, everything in his head. It's all coming to fruition. He's just like, over there, this is what we're gonna do. How it goes. And this is when things already start happening. Like they go up to the attic. They already see like, which kind of gives some weird foreshadowing to things that are going to happen later. But you get like weird voices that go over the walkie-talkies that aren't any of the people that are there. And and of course, like most movies in the beginning of these events, it's like, hey, did you hear that? Yeah, that was weird. What was it? I don't know. It's probably just somebody fucking around. And then they just move on.
It's always the wind.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like the wind can speak.
course.
And also, this is where you get like the first instant of a shadow figure. Like they walk by 2C, and there's the cloaked figure in the corner. Which, anytime this scene pops up, I just think of like Ghost Adventures. Like, this is when we walked by 2C, and we saw a shadow person. We didn't see it at the time, but there it is. And it's like still shot of a shadow person.
Should have been a big like a big red arrow. Like
Yeah, it's right there. So they then venture
I thought it was
down.
creepy.
It is creepy, but like after you watch it a couple times, you're just like, no, that part just feels like you just need Zach Bagans coming in like, we saw a shadow guy. It's right there. Because you know how Zach Bagans is.
Yes, please tell us more. I don't know. I don't
No,
watch this fucking show.
No, I don't.
Ghost Bro.
Yeah, he's a ghost
He's
bro.
Ghost Bro. Yeah.
I enjoy watching that show. It's fucking ridiculous, but it's fun to watch.
Back in the day, we used to call it 3 assholes in the dark.
That's a good description. And then Ghost Hunters was, did you hear that? No, I didn't fucking hear anything. Fucking Jesus. Show me something. I spend hours of my time watching this stupid show and I never see anything. Oh.
Well, that's because half the time they got the GoPros pointed at themselves.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh my God, what's that ghostly figure? And it's just like them going,
Yep.
Okay, but
Did we
here's
have a
the
camera
thing.
in that direction? No.
On a
Damn.
personal note, you can't include Boomer in any of these conversations about like actual haunted places because he doesn't believe in anything.
Oh.
So he makes fun of everything, and I don't talk to him about anything. Okay, so you guys can be fun, Dan and Booms. Okay,
I'd
You
to
guys
hang
can
out with
talk.
him.
I'll
Angela.
be fun with Gabby.
Yeah.
I believe in ghosts.
Okay, well that's going to be our second spin-off podcast.
I believe in
It's going to be
ghosts.
talking about haunted places because
I wasn't making fun of the fact of like believing in ghosts because
Parker, you
I believe in
on our
ghosts.
podcast too. That's
But I'm gonna just be a producer. I don't want to be on the show. I want the two ladies to talk. I don't want to budge into that.
Hey,
No, but-
I have pictures from when we went to Savannah. There's things in those
that's
pictures.
That's a good
I
place
want
to
to go back.
You gotta go there. You gotta go like Gettysburg.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I can't talk about that in this episode.
So more weird shit starts happening in the hotel after they pretty much start sleeping there. I just love where it's like, hey, we're gonna plan on staying here, and just like, what? No, thank you.
Could you imagine how dingy that fucking place
Oh.
smells?
I'm like, ew.
So
No.
to implicate myself further,
No.
'cause I mentioned this before. I used to like when I was younger. I used to like sneak into abandoned houses, so I kind of know what they smell like, and like this whole place would just smell like dinge, dude. Like all of it.
I could smell it when they went in there. I was like,
Ah,
I love how Sarah describes it. It smells like a sweater.
Yeah.
And like we've all gotten a little too warm in our sweater, and like somehow like we sat down and the neck came out and it puffed air up in our faces, and it was like that moment of like, do I smell like that? Oh my God.
okay.
Yeah.
please tell me if I smell.
I think this is fitting. Remind me at the end of this, and I will tell the story I've been talking about for like 5 million episodes of what was it? The Conjuring? Not Conjuring. Is that what we covered? Yeah, The Conjuring.
Where you saw the person?
Yeah, Phantom Penis or no, it was a dick
Oh.
window. Whatever it was. I'll talk about that at the end.
You
That's
saw a
relevant.
dick in the window.
Yes, that is relevant. I'll tell you at the end. At the end of all this,
Put himself in that
100%.
situation.
100%. I
I'm
did.
gonna see a dick in a window.
Well, if you were around where I was when I was a kid, you may have seen a dick in the window.
Give me the address. Shit.
I don't even know if it's there anymore.
I'm single. Where is it?
Alive or dead, it's no, I'm not even gonna continue with that
I
statement.
live by myself. I'll
Oh,
walk
Lord.
past somebody's house.
Is that a? No, he's just grilling hot dogs.
Holy shit. Oh, that's just an Italian sausage. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Who's Italian sausage? No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
Enough.
So like, either way,
You're just
it
seeing
looks delicious.
You're just seeing shadows, and it's just a guy just standing there, and it's just an actual sausage, and just somebody just bites in. You're just like, what the fuck? And you just run
Oh.
away.
Now
What
who's
place is this?
now who's talking too much? I haven't said anything about a dick in the window, and you start the whole.
Yep, you started it, Dan. Way to go.
Good job.
So
I mean,
they
something
go
to talk about, dude.
they go hang out by the
Greatest conversation ever.
they get the bar all set up, so they're all hanging out there. They're reminiscing about like the haunt in New York. And I guess there was another one that they started, but it wasn't as successful. It was kind of a shit show.
Or they don't talk
Well,
about
the
it.
whole
Yeah.
backstory is that Alex started this. He started doing a yearly haunt in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 1 or 2 years that they did it, it didn't do well. And they lost so much money that he had to find something outside the city that was cheaper to rent or buy or whatever he did. That was cheaper for like upkeep and operation costs that could bring in more money, because if you go to a place that nobody has anything to do, which by the way, in Lehighton, right next door to the Waldorf Estate of Fear, is the world's largest general store.
Ooh,
Oh,
I
I
love
wanna
general
go.
stores.
I do too.
It is, I'm telling you, you have to follow the arrows as you go through. I had a panic attack halfway through and had to follow the arrows back out because I felt like I was never going to get out. The building itself, like if you look at it from the outside, is fucking massive. But when you go inside, the way that they have it, like cordoned off and like everything. But Lehighton, there is something else to do, and it's the world's largest general store.
You can go to the scary place. I'll go to the general store.
They
You
have
get lost
those-
in
It
it.
those
felt like that in IKEA.
Roasted nuts, those Christmas nuts. You know what I'm talking about? That smells so good in the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have those right when you walk in the door.
Good.
Well, I guess we're
You
going
always
to
gotta love
New
a good
England.
smelling nut in the
Yeah,
winter
just
time.
take your happy sack and just rub it on them cinnamon things they have in the Christmas aisle, and you're halfway there, dude.
We're going to be taking
Well,
a New England trip by
my-
ourselves.
My
Fuck, are you good?
no, I'm just remembering working at Walmart, and we used to get the big giant containers of the cinnamon smelling pine cones.
That's
Oh,
what I'm
we've
talking about.
got
Fuck,
those,
man,
and
this is
cinnamon
the
brews.
worst. Like they're
That's
fine if you have
chemical
one of them,
warfare.
but when you get a whole box, and it
No.
just like punches you in the
Yeah.
face, like
We had a lady come in the other day. She's like, "What's that good smell?" And I'm like, "It's in the back of the store. How the hell are you
it's just
smelling
so
this?"
strong.
Yes, they can be
So
a headache.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is when we get the scene where I think Tony is hanging up Wendy, which is the name Paul gives the old hag figure. They're hanging it from the ceiling, and of course, this is where he's like giving Paul shit because Paul won't help with anything. He's just, well, you know, Alex wants me to record everything, so I'm here to record. And he's like,
Yeah.
son of a
It's my
bitch.
job.
And of course,
Above
when
my pay grade.
he tells Paul to go get Alex to have him see Wendy to see if it looks good. And this is when you get to see like the shadow figure walk by, the door that opens and shuts on him. That's creepy as hell. For some reason, I was expecting him to like have an accident. Like I've seen this movie before, but when I rewatched the movie, I was like, does he fall off the ladder or does he like accidentally like almost hang himself? No, he doesn't. It just weird things happen, and then Alex shows up with Paul, and they look at her, and then it moves on.
I like how everybody, this movie is so relatable because everybody has a friend like Paul, where you ask for help to move or something like that. It's like, hey man, I'm moving. You mind coming over and helping? They're like, sure, yeah, I'll be there. And then it's like you and somebody else who actually gives a shit, and you're on the end lifting the dresser, and that asshole friend is like in the middle, like, you know, barely lifting anything.
We all have that person. I will not name
Either
who that
that or he's
person is
always
for
the one
me.
that shows
but-
up like, oh man, I was getting out of the car last night. I fucking put my back out, but I didn't want to blow you off, man. I'm here for you. And they pick up like a lamp.
They're just there
Yeah.
for the free pizza
Yeah,
and beer.
I brought
Yeah.
the.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's so true.
I've got your pillows.
Yeah.
I found this box of pasta. What the fuck?
Mind if I cook this up real quick? You
yeah.
still got water?
Just
Paul
Talk about
plays
Brandy.
Paul plays the piano with his new friend Hector, and this is when we hear
Love Hector.
the infamous piano, melody there, which, from what I've read, is the Meow Mix song slowed down. At least that's what I read on a couple sites. I don't know if that's actually true. I'd have to ask Steven. But
I could hear that.
His wife wrote it. His
Okay.
his wife came up with it. Maybe.
I-
But
like I said, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just from what I've
his wife
read.
came up with it.
And
yeah.
because the funny thing was, is I read that before I rewatched the movie, and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, it doesn't. I don't hear it, so I don't believe it, to be honest.
I don't know. It doesn't say it in the trivia, so I don't know.
Meow, meow, meow.
Please.
I've already got the Meow Mix song in my head as soon as he said it.
No,
I
you
was
just
like,
have to
"Damn it."
play the song that is played, but you just have to add meows to it. Meow, 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 meow.
I'm sold on it.
Oh.
I could see it.
So this is when Paul starts getting a visitor in his room, and it's terrifying. The first time I saw the scene, I was like, nope. Because you don't see any features. You just see hair and just this dark figure walk into the room as he's talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he turns around and sees the figure, but it's so dark in his room, he doesn't know who it is. He thinks it's Sarah.
Sleepwalking,
Yes. And because the figure just turns around and just slowly walks out of the room. And I'm just like, no.
Who the hell has ever seen a sleepwalker that they were like, hey, weirdo,
Go back to your
to
room.
bed? Like,
And that scene is like really creepy, but I can't help but laugh because growing up, we had this guy that lived with us. It was my stepdad's friend, and his name was Stan. Big Flock of Seagulls fan. And so he had this like long blonde hair, and he was stoned. Obviously, Stan. He was stoned all the time, and he acted pretty much like the ghost does, where it's like he would just come into a room and just kind of stand there and not say anything. Like, Stan, are you okay? Huh? Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good.
Are
and
you
he
serious?
yeah, I swear, 100%. He would just kind of like,
how many times have we watched this movie? You never told me about Stan?
cringe off.
Sounds deadly.
That's
Why
what
isn't Stan guesting on our show? We need a third host. It needs to be Stan.
all the fucking time.
Neither of us smokes weed. We need that guy.
That's when I start locking my door, though. Fuck that. Like, even if I know who the person is, like, no, I don't need to wake up and see that. No, thank you.
My child sleepwalked one time. I didn't sleep for weeks. I don't want that. I don't need somebody who's not aware of the fact that they're in my space. Sleepwalking fucks me up so bad. Paranormal Activity, when she gets up and walks around the side of the bed and just stands there and the clock fast forwards and she's just standing there. I swear before holy God, if anybody ever, I woke up in the middle of the night and they were sleepwalking over me, I am not responsible for the amount of pepper spray in your fucking face.
Take notes.
taking notes
Keep
over
this
there?
in mind.
Yeah.
We all go to a con together.
No.
I'm going to remember this shit. I'm just kidding.
So
Yeah.
we meet the actors. They hire a few actors for the haunt, and we get a backstory on one of the actors who he's the one who dressed up as a clown and ran off. Joey. Yeah, you find out that he survived the whole night, but he ends up hanging himself later on. I think it was like 9 days after the incident. But he does this. You also meet him later, and he does this weird eye trick, and he actually can do it. It's disgusting. Ugh. The eye pop.
It's like the one lady on one of the talk shows, and she could like do both her eyes.
Oh,
And I'm
thank
like,
you.
I'm good, thank you.
That ain't normal.
No, it's not. But
It's definitely a sign of an underlying condition.
Yeah. So this is when we get kind of a history lesson about the hotel. It's called it's the Abaddon Hotel in the town of Abaddon, and so Abaddon is it from the Bible? Isn't it like he's like the guard? He was like the demon that guards the gates of hell. That's what it means.
I looked this all up. It's
And it's-
hang on.
And pretty much we
It
get the
was
story of Andrew Tully, who is the owner of the hotel, and the stories of missing guests like throughout his time owning the hotel. And then it got to the point where things got so bad for him that he ended up killing himself as well. And they show the picture of him hanging, and I was like, I don't think they would like that. Doesn't see like. I feel like certain things you're just showing for effect, but like I feel in a real documentary you're not going to be able to show a picture of this.
Like murder,
But I
dude.
get it for the movie. It's all fiction, but the sheer fact is like I feel like you kind of want to make it feel real. Like you kind of want to do like a Blair Witch where like you want people to see this movie and be like, holy fuck, is this real? I need to know. And
Did you ever see the movie Snuff?
No, but
It's a documentary.
No.
Heard of it, but I didn't watch it.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I haven't been able to find it in over a decade, but it's about like looking for snuff films, the history of the snuff film, and seeing if they're actually real and what constitutes a snuff film. Having seen Snuff, maybe they would have shown it because they showed the beheadings.
Right.
Remember when what's their faces? Al Qaeda was taking people and like cutting their fucking heads off and like shooting them in the face. They showed that in Snuff. It was the most disturbing film I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I think
Also extremely interesting.
I was just going to say a lot of the Jack the Ripper documentaries. They show the crime scene photos in those. I mean, granted, they're over 100 years old, so I don't know if that. But I mean, those are pretty gruesome. I mean, as well.
It doesn't take me out of the movie. I'm not saying that, but it was just one of those like, would they show this in an actual documentary? Well, but like I said, it doesn't take me out of the movie at all.
Possibly.
What makes me think of some of the documentaries about concentration camps and stuff like that. They would show some of them I've seen would show the bodies.
Babies.
All right.
No.
Proving Brett wrong?
I'm just saying it happens.
No.
It's just like a certain amount of time.
No, I'm not upset.
Yeah.
You proved me wrong. It's okay.
I feel like he was like, who would show this? And we're all like, what do you mean? Fuck off.
Everywhere.
Stuck, stupid. Like, I'm sorry.
Brett, I'm pretty sure that there's this episode of My Little Pony, and it's pretty graphic.
I believe.
Yes.
I mean,
anyways,
kids shows are very graphic now.
Yeah. Abaddon was used with reference to a bottomless pit in the Bible. It says often appearing alongside the place of Sheol, meaning the resting place of dead peoples. So that's
very, very, very cool.
It depends on your interpretation.
There's quite a few. Growing up in a religious household, I read the Bible. I don't remember this being there, but there's a lot of
probably glossed over some of that stuff.
A lot of that.
It is. It's in Revelations. There's two of them. There's Abaddon, and then there's another one, and I forget what the other one is. But either way, I mean, it's a great name for a town.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's great.
I would want to go there.
I would.
Next to some hellhole? I mean, no.
Excuse me. I'm looking for the Abaddon Hotel. Does it have the hellhole in the bottom? If not, it's not real.
This way. Yeah.
So this is where we get the introduction to our wonderful clowns, and the main clown that we eventually see many times just making its way throughout the hotel. And later, and a little bit later, is when you get Paul kind of walking through the haunt, and this is where he encounters the clown on the top of the stairs, like looking down into the basement.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "What are you looking at?" At first, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing there?" And then he's like looking down to see if there's anything down there. And then when he looks back up, the clown is looking at him. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's out of there.
Because he thinks it's his friend.
Yeah, he thinks it's Tony.
In the group.
Yeah. Because he runs
Which
into Mac reading
names.
a book.
Yeah. I could never remember names until like later on in the movie. I'm like, okay, this is this person. Because they would just mention it in passing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are, but okay. But yeah, after they had talked about how the head wouldn't move.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, that's later. Okay. That's later with Tony when Tony and Mac go down into the basement, and because they're hearing stuff, and so they go down there, and they go into like the freezer, and then they go out, and all the heads turn, and then and that's when he freaks out, and he's just like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." Because the entire time Alex is like, "Come on, guys, you're just messing around." Like he doesn't take any of this serious. And you find out why in the sequels, but like if you're just watching this one, he's just a businessman. And he even states it's like it's all business. Like this place needs to work.
Dick.
Oh, he's an asshole. Yeah. He sucks.
He comes across as such a fucking dick. And even when it is revealed in the sequels, fuck you still, Alex. Fuck you in your fucking vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy where if this shit was happening, I'd be like, I don't care if we're not friends anymore. I'm fucking out of here. I don't care if we ever talk again because clearly you're a piece of shit.
The fuck are you paying me? $8 an hour? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, 2009?
Like,
Probably.
Yeah. Probably $8.25. Dan, you looked a little confused. Opening night when everybody's like freaked out and Alex is giving that pep talk and everybody, let's go. Like, we're going to put on a show. He's wearing that dumbass vest.
Oh.
Yeah, that black one.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck him in that fucking vest.
Fuck
that vest,
you,
I will.
Alex.
Yeah, fuck your
Put your
vest.
fingers under your vest.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's not even like, hey, this is a fall attraction. I'm wearing a puffy vest from Old Navy that I got on the $19 day. Like, I'm wearing a fucking vest. A vest. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Where's your fucking ascot, dick? Like, I hate him.
So yeah, this is when they hang the sign, the Hell House sign, and also they talk about the fact that there's a Google image that shows the front of the Abaddon before any of them were even there to set up Hell House, and it's that ghostly figure of Alex on the balcony, which is kind of creepy. But they show it like 3 times, because the first time you're like, "What am I looking at right now?" And then the second time it's like, "Oh, okay."
I don't know if that's real still, but the first time I went there was my 30 mind your business birthday.
Hey,
And-
I'm not far behind you, so
That was when I looked up the directions. That was their Google map.
Oh, that's
If
cool.
you clicked on it, that was still, I don't know if it still is, but I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
it's
sorry,
really
I'm
eerie.
looking at Boomer's face. He's just over there like, sorry. You're just over there smiling and I cannot. You're just
He's
What's
charming.
the matter,
Don't make fun of him.
Booms?
I can't. He's just having a good time.
I am.
Did you grow up with a lack of parental supervision? Do you know all the lyrics to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Remember Mayor McCheese and the Fry Guys? Have an inexplicable love for the California Raisins? Can you remember Madonna's original phase? Then you might be a part of the Doom generation. Laugh until you cry with us each week as we stumble blindly through the memories of the movies and other random things that doomed us to be the salty, sarcastic, sardonic ladies you want to hang with. You know us, you love us, you can't fucking live without us. Doom Generation, available everywhere you find podcasts.
So this is when Paul gets spooked again, and he tries to prove to Alex like what happened, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's just Paul. He always fucks with everybody." And that's the thing. It's like things happen to the people who are usually just the big goofballs, so no one believes them when something is actually happening. And that's what pretty much Paul is. Paul's that like goofball who no one can take serious. So as soon as they do something, they're like, "Yeah, fuck you." So
I had to
they
go check register.
the clown, they keep getting more weird shit happening with that clown. They find Sarah talking to a wall. She's saying things in gibberish, which I guess she's saying something, but I guess they flipped the audio to get the gibberish
saying it
speech.
backwards.
Yeah. I can't remember. I read what
They
she
gave
was
her the
saying.
Missy Elliott effect.
I can't remember
and
what
I
it
noticed
said.
it. I was like, it's according to IMDb, it's when I got to the front door, the police were arriving.
What did she do?
What do you mean? what
Missy
is that?
Elliott?
No.
Oh.
For that line to go, and I got to
Oh.
go with the front feet. Like,
I
what
think
the
it's-
fuck is going on?
I think it's part of her. In the end, wasn't it part of what she was saying in her interview?
Remember in when they show the footage right before, spoiler alert, right before Paul comes back,
Mhm.
and it shows Sarah and she's running.
Yeah.
She can't get out. The police were there, but she couldn't get out. That's
Right. Yeah, because
that's
every
what she
time
was
they would try to
saying.
get to a door, it would shut on them.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Parker,
Yeah.
during this scene, they see her. It's Paul and somebody else.
So Paul,
See-
Paul and Mac wake up because they hear noises, and then they look at the bottom of the stairs, and that clown is at the bottom of the stairs staring up.
Yeah.
And so at first it was like, Paul, do you do this, or they think it's one of the guys just fucking with them. So they go and take
And
the clown,
by
and
the
they're
way,
carrying it
poor
through
Paul.
the pond. Yeah, no, Paul's
Yeah.
just getting fucking wrecked throughout this whole movie because
He's kind
the
of a
goofball.
pig.
Yeah, he's a man.
He's a big-
He's a man in 2009.
Yeah, bit creepy. He's
Yeah.
a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the interview with the actress there when he's just like pretty much like flirting with her and just saying like, dude, you can't stop it, go away.
He's such a hog.
This isn't Casting Couch. That shit doesn't happen until after the Halloween season.
Jesus.
I really think that she should show her boobs.
There you was dedicated to it. Wouldn't that entail like a whole other?
Boomer is the
thing?
Paul of podcasting.
I mean, he's handsome as fuck. What do you expect?
Weren't they adamant though about her taking her shirt off or
No,
whatever?
Paul
He
was.
was?
Paul was.
Yeah,
Alex was like,
Paul
absolutely
was.
not. Absolutely not. The one thing
Who
that
was-
Alex was actually not a complete piece of shit about, that's the fact that he wasn't going to make the actress take off her bra. It was
So-
Although, I mean, she basically was pretty naked. I mean, that was
Who
kind of
the one
weird.
that cut her shirt all the way
Alex.
down?
Alex does.
Yeah.
Why
Like-
did she do that before she put the shirt on? Just did it herself.
The funniest thing is this was what
Anyway.
my wife started
He's like,
laughing.
"This is
She's
gonna be
"What
cold."
what is he doing? I was like, it's the whole aesthetic of the haunt. And she's like, oh,
No,
okay.
no, it's not. You don't.
Yeah,
need
I
to show
totally
your
expected
boobs
them
be
to, like-
scary.
I totally expected them to just like cut a hole or make some rips in it or something.
Like,
It's like,
a little bit.
nope.
I was just expecting them to cut it, like under her bra, and that'd be it. Like,
Yeah.
no, he's just like keeps going. I was like, okay.
What I was gonna say is during the scene, because they see her and they're like, Sarah, and I'm sitting there like, Sarah Harding. I'm like, how many
Yes.
Sarahs are in this house? Sorry,
Yeah,
Gotta make
Lost
lots
World
of time.
Jurassic Park.
I
Call
can't
back.
help it, dude.
Woo.
I can't help
Can't
it.
not reference it.
Oh
No,
Lord.
Can't not touch. Can't not
So
touch.
they bring the clown downstairs. This is when they find Sarah in her gibberish. And then they turn and the clown just disappears. They're like, what the fuck? You guys saw that, right? So they're
It wasn't
trying
the
to
first time it disappeared.
they try to go they're trying to get out of the hotel and they can't find the exit, or they would get to an exit and they couldn't get out. So like it was just like this whole fucking thing. They were like going through the house and they were like, they were so disoriented they couldn't figure out how to get out.
Just
And then
climb
they-
out the window.
they walk into a room though that was originally all like it was supposed to look all destroyed with shit everywhere, and then they walk in and the whole room is like set up, the table, the chairs, and it has like dishes on the table, and it was just weird. And then they turn around and the fucking clown is back there just hanging out. He's just like,
Hey,
hey.
Like
He
a
wants to be a
fucking
part
creep.
of it too.
Can I see you to your table? Like fucking no.
Talking about Paul being a complete creep, not that I really needed to mention it, but I figured I should. The fact that he literally creeps in on Sarah and Alex in the bedroom, and he's like
Yeah.
zooming in on her ass, and I was like, Paul, come on, bro. And then he
There's this thing
continues to
called
do
a
it
lock.
while Alex is watching him. Like Alex can see he's doing it. Oh my bitch! I would punch this dude right in the face.
Lock your doors.
Get the fuck out of here, Paul. Yeah, well, Paul does say that. He's like, well, maybe you should shut your door.
Like Paul's totally in the wrong, but he's also not necessarily wrong about shutting the door. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Hey, we have 3 kids. You learn to lock your door.
So this is when things start getting really, really bad. So Paul ends up finding a notebook or like a little diary in Alex's room. And it has like ideas for the haunt, but then as he gets deeper into the notebook, it just says Abaddon a bunch of times with like weird demonic symbols and stuff like that. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And that night he's doing his, he's talking to the camera, and that's when he gets another visitor, and it's just a woman sitting on the floor, like sitting against the wall. I was like, come on, man. And it's great because he's talking to the camera and she's just there. And then he, of course, turns and realizes she's there, and he freaks out and he goes under the covers. He's like a little kid. He's like, fuck that. I'm under the covers. So yeah, Paul realizes that he hides under his sheet like a little kid. But the thing is, like, you expect when he lifts up his sheet that she be gone. But every time he lifts the sheet, she gets closer to his bed, and he just keeps, lifting it up slowly and then dropping it. And then, of course, when he lifts it again, she's right there, and she just comes at him. And then you don't see anything. You just hear screaming. And then
Fucking terrifying.
it's the scariest part of this movie, in my opinion. Like that whole sequence, I'm like, what the fuck? Like the second time watching it wasn't as effective for me. It was my experience with these scenes is definitely that very first time watching this movie, watching it in the dark, not having to take notes, just watching
was
it
our
and
first time.
experiencing these things. And holy shit, this scene! I was like, okay, cool, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. It's perfect because it's not exactly a jump scare, so it's not like super cheap, but it still has that same kind of effect on you.
Oh yeah.
And I just love that. Yeah, when you don't know what to expect every time that he opens it up, and oh man, it's one of those things that just kind of makes you push back. Like if you're sitting in your seat, you just kind of push back away. It's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, definitely the money shot of this entire film.
You're like, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I got scared as a kid and I hid under my blankets and sheets and didn't look?
Every kid
Yeah.
did at some point. in their life,
But I vividly remember that, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm over here like, nope, not gonna look. I know what's gonna happen.
I mean, I almost consider I have a blast with it, but I do almost consider like podcasting to be like my second job. That like I'm watching movies because I want to, but I'm watching them because I have to. I have to talk about them, so I have to watch them. So I can't tell you guys how many horror movies I've seen in my life. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been scared. I am still like here, this is my sweater, but I am still the one that I have seen everything, and the more disturbing and disgusting and terrible that it gets, the more I'm like, what are you talking about? Hi. Like, but I still, as I'm watching it, I'm like this and this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And that scene, I can say after seeing this movie countless times, I'm not afraid anymore. The reason I'm not afraid anymore is because I still have never uncovered my eyes during that scene ever.
It's I don't like scary movies, but it's definitely tough to like. It's a good scene. It's very well done, and they even before this, they do a good job just setting up all the suspense with the doll, with her talking, and just they do a really good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
They shot that scene actually with the little girl and with the clown.
Really?
And Stephen Cognetti said that when they went over the two ideas, that everybody kind of went toward the little girl. I agree with that. I think with the clown, it would not have been as effective, even though the clown is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because the clown was the deleted scene. There was a deleted scene where it was the same scene, but with the clown sitting against the wall instead of the girl, which, yeah, the girl is way more effective in my opinion. Even though I would still be fucking terrified if I, was hiding under my blanket and I just peeked up and that fucking clown is like right in my face.
When I went to Waldorf, when I went to Waldorf, you had like the ticket booth, and then you walked around the corner from the ticket booth, and there was like this big open space, like in this big courtyard.
Yeah.
And they it was really cute. Like they had like a little fire pit and like a couple like food trucks, and it was adorable. And they had like a little merchandise thing. But when my friend, it was early in the season, it was like the first weekend they were open, so there was nobody there. Like, so when we walked around the corner, there was not a crowd. We walked around that corner, and standing there was that fucking clown. And my friend had never seen or heard of Hell House, so she had no idea. Mm-hmm. And we walked around that corner, and I was like, I'm so excited. And we went around the corner, and I was like, no, we gotta go. We're leaving. I don't want this motherfucker in my face. I don't want this. This is not part of my life. I want to live how I want to live, and he is not a part of that. And it was so hard to like walk past. I ended up taking my picture with him, but I looked bad, so I never posted it. But so I was too scared, and I Photoshop a lot. So just it's true.
You can just send it to me. I won't judge.
It's so bad. It's like
I don't care.
Literally like.
That's why I don't post any pictures.
Like I just like 14 chins and like a weird smile, and like my shoulders were like this because I was terrified, and I was like, this guy is gonna grab my boob. Like I was so scared because that's real life.
Wait, the clown was gonna do that?
Real life fear outside of horror movies. Real life fear for women is that, hey, I'm gonna take a picture with this guy. He's gonna grab my fucking boob, because they do that a lot. I don't like that, and it scares me.
That's fair.
Yeah. I can imagine.
To have a guy grab your boob unwanted and the clown to grab your boob unwanted.
Hey,
that's when I pee.
I can give you one better. No, told you about this. I was in a bar with a friend after work, and this dude randomly messaged me on Facebook. I'm like, who the hell are you? How did you know my name? I don't know who you are. He's like, can I buy you a drink? And I'm like, nope, I'm out. Bye, I'm going home. Like that. Yes, I'll punch you if you touch me and unwanted. I carry a knife all the time. I don't care to stab you.
Angela, I'm obsessed with you.
I don't care to brandish my knife. Like, yeah, I've worked retail way too long to not have a weapon.
Let me tell you how I got these scars.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Why do you
I
think
feel
I got
bad.
one testicle?
But to have somebody randomly message you and
That's
you have
pretty
no
cool.
idea who they are and you have that.
It was
Oh,
chaos. Don't worry about it.
No idea how they got your name,
Yeah.
asking if they can buy you a drink. I
that's
was like,
ridiculous
no,
as
I'm
fuck.
going home. Bye.
I feel bad for like pure-hearted people at this point in my life because there was a con that we were at, and I had my Podcast in the Woods t-shirt on, and
Represent. Oh, I'm sorry.
red hair, big glasses. It's kind of recognizable.
It's a brand.
I was walking through the door and some guy walked past me and he didn't touch me at all. But he pointed at me, and of course the logo was right here, which is right here. And so the logo is right here, and he pointed and he went, Abby, whoa, Abby. And he was like freaking out. And I was just like, hi, I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. Bye. Like I was terrified.
Just don't look
That's
at
And
fair.
I was
Look at that.
wasted.
Yeah.
And the t-shirt comes up to, I don't wear it anymore because it's just a little snug and it makes me feel bad about myself. So I don't wear it a lot, but I think that it's just cut weird.
You're the same person.
Maybe.
But like I had it, and it wasn't revealing or anything like that, but it was just the fact. And also I had a cardigan on over it, so it wasn't even like that. It was super revealing anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the scariest thing about that scene is like, hey guys, now you know how the fuck we feel when we turn around and you're right the fuck here, and it's just like, oh my god, go away.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Why
Yeah,
just do it 'cause
I'm
he's
just-
married to you. I don't just like do it to random fucking people.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
No, like,
really think if you do, you should film it for TikTok, though. I cannot stand when people think that, like, well, it's not technically invading your personal space because I'm being compassionate, I'm sympathizing, I'm empathizing, I'm comforting, and it's things like that. That, like, I mean, I didn't mean to turn this episode into a PSA, but like, if a person doesn't ask you for a hug, people, please.
exactly.
If a person doesn't give you the physical signs that they're okay with like grabbing you, especially the wrist, don't touch people and don't get in faces. Little girl in Paul's room above the sheets.
Yeah.
Tired of you, bitch.
Yeah. You know who else is a big hugger? Is the cult
You.
in Hell House LLC.
Oh,
Big huggers.
Yeah, they
Oh,
love to
God,
hug. They love to hug. I'm glad you. Thanks,
They'll hug your soul right out of you.
Boomer. Thanks for that. Thanks for that.
Segue.
That
That is
segue
that's
to
what
keep
the
us back,
lady,
put us back on the track
that's
here.
what the lady does. But anyways, back to what I think the scene with the girl is conveyed very much better than he disappeared. Oh, not you.
Oh, okay. Hey,
All I saw was the
He's like, I
elbow.
can't take
Oh,
all this hugging
no.
conversation.
I
But
just
no.
dropped my phone right before.
Me. I think it's conveyed better than if they would have used the clown because subtle movements. You can see her eyes. Like
Mhm.
she moves her eyes first.
Oh
And
my god. Yep.
it just freaked me out more than I think the clown could have done because he doesn't have eyes.
well, I think another
Yeah.
reason is outside of like what you hear in the lore, and I assume this is the reference to this, is there's no precedence. She's just
She
there.
just appears.
Yeah.
It's not the clown. You've seen the clown a couple times. She's just
Yeah.
fucking there. You're like, who the hell
You
is
don't know
why
who it
this
is,
person
and to be honest,
Yeah,
you never
no.
really find out who it is, other than
Well,
you
you
can
kinda-
kind of make guesses on it later on.
Well, they steal it. They say sometime one of the dudes says like one of their first victims was like a 12-year-old girl, he thinks. And I'm assuming that's who that is. It may not be, but that's the closest.
Well, yeah, they
connection
were
we
talking
get
about
to
the fact that there were people disappearing in the hotel back when Tully owned it.
Yeah.
So
And they
yeah,
said that was the first one, yeah.
that's your guess. You don't know exactly who they are, but
Yeah,
that's kind
exactly.
of the idea of who they are.
At least they give you some like nugget to it. But other than that, like
Yeah.
that could just be a throwaway line the whole movie
Yeah,
and
that
not mean
definitely
anything.
got me.
So yeah, so after Paul gets
Okay.
attacked, Tony comes into the room the next morning and finds the camera, but no Paul. And
There's
so
blood
they
on
just
the wall.
oh, I didn't even.
If you look at the
catch
wall,
that.
there's like a few
Yeah,
little specks of
it's-
blood. We didn't know if that was for the thing, but I imagine not. Because that's where they were sleeping.
Yeah, 'cause that's where they were
spans
sleeping.
Past his.
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't-
like
This
a
is
few
what I'm
little-
talking about with the rewatchability and the hidden things.
Yeah.
You
I
guys
didn't-
just blew my fucking mind.
I didn't even
know
notice
there was
it.
blood on
Yeah.
the wall.
just a few like bloop bloop, like on the wall. You can see when he picks up the camera and starts moving.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can kind of see a few.
There's
Yes.
certain things that I feel like I pointed out that he missed, like with the strobe light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Dude, the strobe. scene.
Oh my God. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that scene. The fact that
That was
they're setting up
good.
that hallway with the strobe light, and he's asking like, how many dummies do we have in here? And
Yeah.
he said like 3, but he keeps seeing one slowly getting closer to the point. He's like, "Yeah, get me the fuck out of here! Get me
and
out!"
it wasn't every time. It was
No.
like every other flash, and I was like,
Yeah.
hey,
And
that's
so
not
you're
there.
looking for it. You're like, where is he? Oh, he's gone. Oh, where's he
But
gonna be now?
He's seeing it when it flashes up, and I'm like, hey, that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know when Paul runs out and vomits?
It's real.
That's not scripted.
That was
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
the
read about
actor got
that.
himself so worked up that he fucking puked. Can you imagine?
Ew.
I get that, like, there's that disconnect of being the actor and this is your role and you're being paid to do this and you already read it and you know what's going to happen and whatever. But still, you're putting yourself in that situation. Am I losing my voice? God, Brett, hope so. Like, to see that, like to experience that, could you imagine? Could you imagine?
No.
I have worked myself up enough to get nauseous. Not necessarily vomited, but I have worked myself up
You get the nervous poops.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm infamous for that. Yeah.
Or
My
she's
my
supposed
anxiety is not that's
It-
used. I don't want to
mine
dig
is
any deeper into
more-
that, but that's what happens
Keep
to me
going, just
when my
keep going,
anxiety
fuck it.
goes through the roof.
I get the nervous peas. I have been in front of a bunch of people and I'm like, damn, I need to go pee. And they're like, you don't have time. And I'm like, okay, let's get this over with right now before I pee my pants.
So yeah, Tony can't find Paul. They try to call him and they get this like loud screeching noise that comes through the phone, which causes Alex to drop the phone. Then they hear the piano playing at night, the same melody that Paul was playing with Hector.
Hector just
And so
wanted
they
some
think, oh, Paul's
friends.
still around. So they go down there. They're trying to find him all over the place. They eventually do find him. He's like sitting up against a wall, but he's not saying
Like
anything.
one of the clowns.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's after they do the whole scene with the clowns in the freezer and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like,
because
after that-
they literally walk out of the freezer and he's against the wall in the basement.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is
Hey.
one of the biggest beefs that I have with this movie. And this movie is perfect in everything to me. This is my favorite film of all time. But what shit ass fucking friends are these?
Yeah.
Paul fucking disappears. They're like, Paul's a dick.
Yeah, they're like, Paul's
They
done this
call his
before.
phone. Yeah, they call his phone and they get like the creepiest, most terrifying thing to happen over a cell phone. Remember, this is 2008. If you didn't have good service, your phone didn't even ring. So it's not even like he was in a bad area. It was just like you picked it up and hell answered the phone.
Right.
And then he finally fucking reappears and they're like, fuck you, you suck, you piece of shit. It's like,
Yeah.
Hi, you selfish assholes. Let's ask what happened to your friend. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because then he goes to his room and like doesn't come out. Like he just lays in bed.
He sleeps for days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Well, what I was gonna say is, you talk about it being shitty friends, Abby. Is look at the whole scene leading up to it with the phone call. The cameraman's like, "Here, take my phone," and the fucking shit happens, and they drop his phone on the ground, and nobody offers to pick it up. They
Yeah, he just
walk the
walks
fuck
off. And
Yeah.
you're like, fuck you,
Like,
Alex,
fuck
you
your
piece of
phone. Like,
shit.
what?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
just broke my shit. That was a fucking flip phone. Those shits were fucking
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get you
Yeah.
a new one at
Yeah,
the
so-
end.
Yeah, and we talked about this scene earlier, the fact that Tony is like, nah, I'm done. I'm quitting. He does his thing. But then Mac like takes him somewhere and kind of tells him about what's going on, that like they're fucked. Like they don't have any money.
Which is his wiener gets him to stay.
He probably
That's
does.
not true for anybody who hasn't
Mac's
seen
like,
it.
look at
That's
it.
not a spoiler.
He's
That's
like,
not real.
I'll show you a big old hog. And then he's like, all right, I guess I'll stay for the hog.
Starts
Yeah,
running
but
his fingers up his thigh. Listen, there's a lot you don't know, but you want to know.
You just hear some oinking from the pants.
Little tickle on
Oh
the
boy,
tape.
that hog
there
is
you
cold.
Ew, Gabby, what the fuck?
Yeah, just the tip of the fingernail, dude.
What the fuck am I?
God,
Ew.
And he's like, hang on a second, let me eat
It's
this
the
Halls and numb
alcohol
my throat
talking at
before
the-
we start doing that throat action. Got to make sure that callus is all built up strong.
Okay, moving on.
Listen, there was only one female in this group, and she was taken. There were several other males.
Dude, listen,
We don't know what all they did. No
Listen,
kink shame here.
I don't-
I mean, a hole is a hole.
Yes, a cat is fine too.
Yep, I don't
Just saying.
I don't
Booms,
judge
I'm
people.
obsessed with you for that, by the way.
I don't judge people for what they're into. So, you do what you got to do.
No, there's
It is
nothing
a
wrong.
weird scene though, because it's kind of like this Hallmark moment. They're just in this lovely field.
I know, I thought
and the
it seemed-
flowers.
Yeah, it seemed out of place.
Hey, there's
Hands
there's,
on shoulders.
You know,
The
Knees
Brokeback
up.
Mountains like musical
Yeah.
starts coming on.
The swelling orchestra.
So the haunt has officially started, and shit goes down.
Alex is wearing a vest.
Alex is wearing his vest. He gives his pep talk to all the actors. They all go get set up. We see the girl getting her shirt cut. You get Joey dressed up as a clown, and then everything starts to happen.
Slightly
Everybody's
less inspiring than the Braveheart speech. I'll say that.
yeah.
I mean,
It didn't really get me all pumped up. It was more of it got to the point where Max was like, okay, I'm going to go take them away because you're just being weird.
Well, I think that this scene is the only huge issue that I had with the acting in this is the way that Alex was like, the actor playing him, like I can hear his inner monologue that like, okay, I have to be building them up, but I'm also terrified. And I also know that something's going to happen. So like they say action and he's there in that stupid fucking vest. And it's like, hey guys, we're gonna do this. And it's so forced. And to me, that's the worst scene of the entire film.
Yeah.
It's just the acting in it is so bad.
So yeah,
Shame on you, Alex.
yeah.
Hey, you
Suck.
cocksucker.
Take your vest off, Dick.
So yeah, everything is going smooth so far. Well, except for there's a little bit of couple hiccups, like the walkies aren't working right, and just small, basic things that usually happen with these type of things. But then Joey just runs out of the basement.
Like a little bitch.
Yeah, he just
Little bitch.
yeah he's out of there, which
He
causes the
promised
girl.
to
I'm sorry.
her.
I'm sorry though. That shouldn't even be a thing. You should have it to the point where she can get out of it whenever she wants. Like
Yeah, it was
the fact that she is actually locked in those cuffs or in those shackles, like fuck that.
Did you see what she was shackled with? It was like
Yeah,
this wide,
it's like that.
and it looked like she could just go like woo
Yeah.
and leave.
If we can be honest, I've actually owned shackles like that before. That lining, you can get right out of it.
no safe word involved.
www.onlyfans.com/Gabby.
There you go.
There it is.
I'm lying. I'm
Good
lying.
man.
That doesn't exist.
It's
I'm
kinda-
sorry, she's outshining you right now.
So yeah, so
Let's just say I own them, but I never used them. Marriage.
so she gets attacked in the basement by a cloaked figure.
I love you.
That's also part of marriage. That's normal.
Yeah,
He missed
Everybody's-
it.
No,
I'm glad you caught that, but he missed it.
everybody's trying to get out of the basement. She gets attacked and dies, and a giant hole just opens up in the basement and just sucks her in. She's just bye.
The portal to hell.
Wee.
And this is when the doors start shutting on their own. So like every time one of the main people try to get outside of the hotel, the door would shut on them and they can't get out. They let all the guests out, just not any of the main crew there.
They
they've
don't
been
need to
marked,
know.
soul marked.
So they go up to the attic. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that the way that they explained that in the sequel, I believe it was 2. The way that they explained that all of the guests got out, but the actors didn't.
Like anyone who worked for
Anybody who is disappointed by the end of this, like the end of this specific movie, I think anybody who's disappointed by the ending of this film, they all that I've talked to have all had like kind of the same reactions.
Mhm.
I would love for them to watch 2 and 3 and then come back and think about, watch 1, watch 2, watch 3, then watch 1 again.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to watch the whole thing, just watch the ending again and see like the way that everything ties together so well, like the way that Stephen Cognetti thought ahead.
Right.
That like, okay, in the first movie, it's like, why? Are you kidding me? Did you run out of ideas? Did you, where is this coming from? Like you just needed a way to wrap it up. When you watch the sequels, you're like, genius.
Yeah.
I just always think ghosts cheat. Every time I see one of these movies, it's like, you fucking cheating ghosts.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, they're dead and they could do whatever the fuck they want now.
Yeah.
I would.
I would.
Ghosts, they have sex with people. I'm not saying I wouldn't touch a penis, but I'm not saying I would not touch a penis.
So Mac and Sarah go to the attic and they find Alex up there hanging from the ceiling. And this is when they drop the camera and then it shows that there's cloaked figures up in the attic. They get attacked. And then we go back to Sarah's interview with Diane. And earlier in the movie, actually like the beginning of the movie, Sarah mentioned they asked Sarah like how have you been? She's like, "Oh, I'm in a better place now." And like when you first hear that, you don't really think it's just a weird way of maybe saying you're okay. But then you find out what it really means by the end of this movie, because at the end of the interview, it's not the end of the interview. She's just like, "Can I get a break? I'm really tired. I just want to, go rest." And they're like, "Yeah, sure. Go to your room, take a nap, do what you got to do, and come back. We'll finish up." She's like, "Yeah, so I'm in 2C, so if you need me, that's where I'll be." And so they're like, "Cool." And so while Sarah leaves, Diane's like, "Let's go to the hotel," because Sarah pretty much talks them into doing it. They're like, "Hey, have you ever tried just breaking in?" They're like, "No, but okay, let's try it." So they go to the hotel. They break into the hotel.
Well, first they go to the front desk to get Sarah.
And they're like, "Hey, so we're looking for Sarah Havel. She's in room 2C." And they're like, "Well, our rooms don't have letters." And they're like, "Okay." And they're like, "Yeah, there's nobody here by that name." They're like, "Alrighty." So they go to the hotel. They go around. They see all the different things that we've already seen in the tapes. And then they get to the rooms and they find 2C and they're like, what the fuck? And they open the door and Sarah's sitting on the bed.
But 2C is locked from the outside.
Yes.
It has that old school hook lock.
The slide. Is it the hook lock or is it the slide lock?
I'm pretty sure hers
is the
is
hook lock.
Hook.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the hook lock. Yeah.
And I was like,
that's my attic door, by the way.
Ooh.
That's the older style locks. Is that hook.
And there is there's two figures that show up right behind her. There's two of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Because the 2C, I think, is the director's way of telling us that in this room there are two cocks.
That's true. There are.
So the cloaked figures.
Bam.
Yep.
Mic drop. Truth bomb.
I just assumed it was cloaked figures, not cocks. But
I think he's onto something.
It could be both.
I do think that just and this has nothing to do with cocks. I'm just saying.
It'll be the first thing.
That literally, I could talk about them for days. Hello, penises. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hey. Miss you.
We can talk about that, and the guys can talk about the boobs, and
No, we'll still talk about penis.
Listen, I'm not just gonna sit down and just talk about boobs. Listen.
Just the way that you guys picture us all
what do you
being
think
alone
about
and having
nipples?
like pillow fights in our bras and panties the entire time. We picture you guys sitting around and like talking about boobs. Like we just picture you like drinking cheap beer and talking about boobs while you're picturing us in like a beautiful white room and like bras and panties and our hair and makeup done. And we're just like tossing pillows at each other and being like, "Oh my God." And then like, yeah. That's what in my eyes I picture. But anyway, I actually had a what?
I said, or measuring them. They're
actually.
Angela is my best friend.
So funny
but
thing. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Gabby.
No. Go ahead.
Real quick. When I think, okay, this is legit train of thought. When I think of boobs, I know they don't work this way, but I always think of the physics device where it clacks into the other one and then it clacks back, and I just think of that way with. I don't know why, but that's just what I think of. Yeah, I don't know. There's a name for that device. And I can't think of what it is.
What does this show become?
Listen.
Is it because when we get older, they fall down under our armpits?
No, I don't. I'm not talking about anything
we
like
lay down and our boobs just go to the sides, and it just makes us sad. Is that why? And then we go like this with one, and it just comes up. And then we do like this with the other. And it's just like, bam.
Something like that.
I can't answer this question.
I get it.
Parker's gonna have a blast editing this, but carry on, Gabby. You had a relevant point to make.
Actually, my point. I was gonna say something about the movie. I think that we can kind of like the ending of this movie. It's a climax. It's a good climax, but it's not like
Is there ever a bad
overwhelming.
climax?
The rest of the damn.
I mean, just keep it to the lower back, not on your hair. That's
Sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna be quiet.
If it's hair washing day, it's okay. You just have to ask first. Saying.
I'm sorry, Parker.
I'm just gonna start talking to her.
Ma'am, may I frost the drapes?
She will take it in the hair. She doesn't care.
Listen, I have been wondering the whole time what
Don't
that
put it
is
up her nose till it
behind
burns.
you. Where she's from. I'm just saying.
Oh, fuck. This is great.
This is Sam.
Sam the clam.
She has been part of this podcast the entire run of it, the last 2.5
okay.
years. She just sits in the background in different positions because my wife and daughter like to play jokes on me. It was a model because my wife went to school to be a hairdresser, and this was a model,
okay.
and it just finds its way around my basement.
I thought it was an Al Snow reference. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was where you had
actually,
your-
Are you making up a story?
It plays well with the movie because the fact that there's like weird mannequins and
That's fair.
stuff around. So it was actually the Michael Myers mask. The thing I had the Michael Myers mask.
That's what
on.
I was gonna say. I assume that's where you set the Michael Myers.
I know.
But okay.
Okay.
But anyway.
So I just want to say I blame Diane
But yeah,
for
Three of the 5 of us have had drinks, so it's bound to go anywhere tonight.
3 of the 5 of us. Who else?
More than just one.
Oh, I had a drink,
I
had
did.
one.
but that doesn't.
She had
Several.
2. I had 1.5. So
Well, I had 2 on the show. I had like 2 before that.
oh,
drunk
see,
as hell.
she was prepared.
No,
Sorry,
I'm
go ahead,
wasted. But I'm sorry, Brett. I think that like the unsung hero of this film, speaking of the climax of the film, is Jonathan, the cameraman.
Yeah.
Played by my best friend Joe Bandelli. He would probably sue me if he heard me say that because it's not true.
He ain't
but-
listening to this. It's okay.
No, he'll never listen to it. He probably won't even listen to when he's on our show. But but I'm just saying, like, because this whole movie you go through, and it is a typical. The one thing that's typical about this movie is it's a typical found footage movie. Everybody is making bad decisions. They're making the wrong decision. They're doing everything exact opposite of what common sense would tell you to do, right? And it all fucking implodes on them, and everything just goes wrong. And then Diane, she is the same thing. This reporter, she's like, oh, 2C, it's not in this hotel. Let's go look at Hell House. I mean, did you not hear everything that fucking Sarah just told you? Okay, well, let's go there anyway. And then they get there, and Jonathan's like the only voice of reason in the entire film that she's like, let's go inside. And he's like, let's not.
Yeah, that's why I say I blame Diane for them getting killed.
Yeah. He is my favorite character in all 3 films of the trilogy.
Actually, the funny thing is I think it's almost any time somebody has the camera, because Paul made valid points about like we need to leave, and then when the one dude took over for Paul, when they started going down to the basement, he's like, dude, we should get the fuck out of here. I don't know if that's like a thread throughout this franchise, but it seems like whoever has the camera probably says something like, hey, maybe we should fucking leave. And he's like, no, nonsense.
Nonsense,
I mean-
poopy pants.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul didn't say let's leave until he realized he wasn't going to see titties, because even if he
That's
saw that girl in the room in his face, if her boobs were out, he probably wouldn't have freaked out so bad.
Okay,
He'd have been like, oh my God, hey. Like
But-
he
but-
would have been like, oh shit.
He did at least like speak up, like there's something not right happening here.
Yeah.
Like, everybody thought he was fucking around.
But the fact that he saw the figure in the room the first night and he assumed it was Sarah, why didn't he say something to Sarah like, hey, did you come in my room last night?
Yeah.
Do you sleepwalk? Like, that should have been like the overall, I'd have been done that
Well,
night
He said that
if I was Paul.
I think she
Just
said,
saying.
didn't she say, are you sleepwalking? Are you sleepwalking again? Or are you sleepwalking? I think like she does, and like it's a known thing.
I
but,
still
like,
would have been done. Like, I don't want to. And he didn't like shut his door ever.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and no offense, like you're a grown ass man, and I'm not saying that you should beat a woman, but I am saying that like you wake up or you're doing shit in the middle of the night, like you're on your camera and you see this sleepwalking, very tiny, because we see it literally in the next scene when she's laying on the bed. She's this big. You don't have to like mush her face. You can just brush past her. You can give her a little shoulder check. Like, you don't have to push her or pick her up and throw her, but you could turn around and be like, oh my God, are you sleepwalking again? Let me go get Alex. Like, you're being weird. And then get up and walk past her and go and open Alex's door and be like, hey, your girl's out here.
Yeah.
Get her. She's in my doorway. And also, shut your fucking door, porn stash.
Yeah.
And the whole red light behind his door.
Yeah. It's
Like, it
very
wasn't-
eerie.
The first night, yeah, he did that. But then the second time he recorded, it was still red behind him. I'm like, wouldn't you be concerned that there was red light behind you? That's not
It's the exit
normally-
sign.
Okay, see, I can get that now.
Yeah.
It still looks good though.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
I would have at least shut my door because that would have bothered me.
Whether creepy shit was happening or not, that's like that episode of Seinfeld when Kenny Rogers Chicken opens up across the street and Kramer and Jerry trade apartments, and they both go nuts when the red light's shining in their door
The
Yeah.
best
or in their windows.
Oh
the
my
best
gosh.
door
show
open
ever.
from Kramer ever is when he opens the door out of Jerry's apartment and the light hits him, and he does almost the fucking the thing that Michael Jackson did in Smooth Criminal, where he's just like, "Whoa!" He goes, so good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's the end of Hell House LLC.
They just made
So-
poor decisions the entire time because with the whole thing with the clown moving, I'd have been done. I'd have found my way out, climbed out a window. I'd have gone to the top floor, like what's her face in Halloween.
JB
I would have.
and what's her
Bye.
face?
Horse Road.
No,
I would've-
JB
I don't, know who
and
does it. I don't remember who does it.
I'd have
the
busted through the damn
sister,
window
foster sister.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
at the
Jamie
top of the.
Jamie Lloyd
top
and
level.
Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah.
I'd have busted out the window.
Well-
I don't care if I'd have gotten cut, had tetanus, whatever the hell. I'd been gone.
Well, when
another
the
thing-
when the clown appears at the foot of the stairs and Mac is like, "Fuck this! I'm fucking going past him," and he goes past him and just goes into the dining room. Go past him and get into your fucking car.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I was going to say, something that I don't know it was in the director's cut or the regular cut, but after the interview ends and she leaves or whatever, sometime in that she says like, "So when you left, you just went to the front door and left," and she's like, "Yeah," and then it cuts to the scene of her trying to leave, and Paul's there and caves her head in with the video recorder, and then he slashes his own throat, and then she gets drug off.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to them at the Hell House. You're like, oh,
By that point, that is after Diane and Jonathan had left. So it
Yeah.
switches perspectives. That it's very subtle, but it says it, but it's subtle. That at some point it separates. That Mitchell is watching the rest of it.
yeah.
Because and so she says that, and then she's like, "I'm in room 2C," and so they leave to go find room 2C, and then they go to Hell House, and then that's Mitchell watching, like, and then that's when they're in the
Okay, yeah.
house, and
Yeah, that
and
makes
he's
sense.
calling, and she's like, "Oh, Mitchell's calling." That bitch, that's your producer.
Yeah.
Answer
well,
the fucking phone.
that's what I figured was going on, but I just make a mention of that she actually did
Yeah.
get her ass kicked. And
Yeah.
But she's
absorb
like
or
Yeah.
what the fuck
making
happens to
fun of him before they leave. Like, are you scared of ghosts? I'm like,
you see
"Fuck
all the
yeah,
shit that
fam."
happened and the people that were involved in this? There's
Have you
probably
not
something
been
going on.
talking to this girl for the past hour and a half, Diane?
Yeah.
They are literally talking to her at a dining room table. It's like an apartment wall behind them with the whole
Light switch.
a light switch in the outlet. Like it's just a blank apartment wall, and they're at the dining room table, and I'm like, no, because all you see is the reflection of her talking to him, trying to get him to go to this place, and I'd been like, no.
Yeah, nah, bitch.
Because they ask her at the very beginning, "Are you okay?" She's not okay. I
No.
mean, you can physically see it on her body. She's not
It's
okay.
fucked, bro.
I would have not gone. I'd have
Keith
been gone in the
Morrison would
opposite
have ended the
direction.
interview. And
been
who doesn't
done.
love Keith Morrison?
I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Dateline,
Yeah.
NBC, the voice
Oh.
from Dateline NBC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he would have turned around and said, like,
Probably not a good
let's
idea.
get her some counseling and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
This lady needs some B12.
Oh man. All right.
Vitamin D.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention the fact that we do get to see the fact that Sarah's actually dead because you see the video of Paul killing her and then killing himself. And yeah, and then the event happens with Diane and her cameraman at
He
2C.
kills the shit out of her, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah, he does.
And yeah, and that is the end of Hell House LLC. So now let's go around and talk about our final thoughts on the movie, or like what we thought of it. Of course, we know what you guys thought of the movie, especially Gabby, because she brought this one to the table, and you guys have an episode on this movie. So if you guys want to share your final thoughts, go ahead, and then we'll get
I
to
don't think
Dan,
Gabby liked it
and then we'll get to Dan and Angela because since it was their very first time with this movie. So lead it off, guys.
Boobs, I think I can speak for both of us. We hated it.
I got that
Yeah.
vibe.
Right, Booms?
Not enough wieners. Don't like it.
I just said to him, I'm like, did she just call him boobs?
But
We got boobs on the brain.
Son. Sorry, man.
Booms, go ahead. I don't have anything to it's my favorite of all time. Booms, go ahead.
Yeah, it's great. This is one of the films that actually scares me. And for a long time, I didn't think another film would scare me, and this one came along and did. I really, really enjoy this one. I won't take too long because I know we've been going long already. It's a good film. Should watch it.
All right. Dan, Angela?
You're so funny.
I definitely was not disappointed in this. I went in this going off of what I heard from people talk about Blair Witch. I grew up at the time where that came out. I still remember going trick-or-treating the year it came out, and the guy I was dating at the time scared the shit out of us by recreating that as we were walking down the street, and I will never forget that. So I found it cheesy. So I think that's one of the reasons I never watched it. So going into this, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be another, Blair Witch recreation. I was not disappointed. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this. I would probably watch it again just to see what I missed, because there were some subtleties.
There's so much.
Like them pointing out her looking at the angel in the garden. And I feel like that was where she first started her descent into whatever possession had become of her. It was her when they were recreating the lover scene or whatever on the bench.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it cuts to her
Staring
over
at that angel.
staring at the angel, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is she doing?
That scene actually, Brett, I'm sorry. I want to finish this. I'm sorry. Speaking of behind the scenes, that is the only improv scene in the entire film. Is when they're in the field and they're hanging out. He gave the cameras to them and just said, have a good time, make up your own lines, interact as the characters would interact, and do what you do what you think they would be doing on their day off. And they all came up with that on their own, which is another testament to Stephen Cognetti's writing, that the whole movie, I think the dialogue in the entire movie feels very natural. Not one scene except for that scene was improvised. Everything was scripted.
And I love seeing that. Like, I feel like she just disassociated
Completely, yeah.
just off by herself. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go, over here while you guys are doing whatever. And they turn over to her and she's just standing there doing whatever. Like, you can't tell that it's improv. Like, there's certain scenes that you can see, like, okay, maybe they kind of just came up with it on a whim. And you see her doing that and it's like, okay, I can see where they're getting at. And it just seems like it slowly trickled from there. And then, like, her in the basement, and when they first start, and they're like, are you okay? And, she's like, yeah, I'm fine. She doesn't sound like she's fine, but she's playing it off like, okay, let's get this over with. I'm fine, but I'm not. Almost like, love the kills, love the, love the subtleties, love, I want to watch it again. Like, I feel like it was good pick on you. Good pick. Definitely would not watch it at night.
But that's how you're supposed to watch these.
I know. We were watching it during the day, and I'm like, I keep, like, this door is always open, so I'm like, I keep looking. Like, I keep looking on our camera, like, I'm waiting for something to pop out of our closet. And it's just our closet.
It's the mark of a good fucking horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Brett, yes, you're supposed to watch it at night, but if you're so scared that you can't rewatch it during the night, that's a scary fucking movie.
I agree.
Yeah, like going into it, I had my, I'm down here with a lot of movies that we watch because I'm like, I don't want to get my hopes up too high and be disappointed. So I'm just like, okay. But I was kind of disappointed that I let my standards get that low. Like, there was a couple of times there was bad words said. And I wish that I had recorded that, but I was not appropriately dressed,
Good. Okay.
I'm good.
I'm gonna keep mine short because if Brett will allow, I need to do story time.
You call
I did. It's Parker. If he'll allow, I know it's weird, really weird. Anyhow, obviously not my kind of movie, but I did enjoy it. I like how grassroots it felt. The subtlety and little things they throw into the background that everybody's talked about at this point. And I thought pretty much all the characters were enjoyable, even the shitty ones, except for probably Alex. But I guess he had his reasons. But like, I like how they kept a lot of shit vague, and there's stuff that happened before, but they don't talk about it, which would make sense because you're thrusted into this scenario. There would be things you wouldn't know about from the past that maybe get mentioned that only they would know, but you as a viewer wouldn't. But anyhow, it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the acting, and I didn't realize this movie wasn't rated. Like, there really isn't much violence in the movie at all, which is fine. Like, I mean, toward the end, of course, there's some, but like, not like, at least our version, like, not really graphic violence, just mainly language. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Again, not my kind of film, but I respect what they did. I don't know the budget or anything behind this, but they did a good job.
It's one of those, you don't see the kill, but you know what happens.
Oh yeah, it's good.
So
It's implied. That's good. They did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, this is my second time watching this movie, and I remember watching it the first time, and it was very effective. Like, it makes you pause for a second, look around the room, the fuck, makes you think, like, for me, like, movies don't really scare me anymore, but found footage seems to be the one genre of, like, the one subgenre of horror that gets me. Sometimes, not all the time, but like this movie and Lake Mungo were those type of movies that like made the hairs raise in the back of my neck, or made me literally pause the movie to literally look in a dark corner to make sure nothing was standing there, or just made me think, like, overthink about things. yes, for me, I feel like you kind of lose the effect the more you watch the movie. I think the more you watch the movie, you're going to pick up on more things. And I think that's what makes this movie so great is, like we pointed something out to Gabby, or I didn't, because I didn't even know it was there. But like Dan and Angela pointed something out that Gabby didn't even know about. And she's seen this movie a bunch of times. So, it's great to be able to have a movie like that where you can keep watching it and find out new things. I love that about just movies in general. But yeah, I think this movie's a blast, and I think it's one of the best in the found footage genre. I would love to talk about the sequels at some point, even though I'm not as big of a fan of them as I was of this one. But I think if based just on the story itself, I think it'd be a very interesting conversation to go through the rest of this franchise.
Maybe don't invite us for that one.
Well, I have to
no,
invite you
you're
for
coming
You
those.
back.
talk too much.
No.
I
what?
talk too much. Boomer said like 12 words this entire time. I'm sorry, Booms.
He's been over there waiting for his alcohol to get here. He's just been like, come on.
Boomer had his episode when we talked about Predator.
This is your episode. You picked this movie. This is your episode.
This is the Gabby episode. Boomer is here for support.
Supporting. Yeah.
I said I couldn't wait for you to pick a movie, so good.
This is, I mean, before you do all your outros and Booms tells you where to find us, I would like to remind all of the people that if you sign up for Shudder, you get a 7-day trial. And in 7 days, you can watch all 3 films of this trilogy. And if you get your trial after October 30th, you can also watch Hell House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor, and that's the new one. And I will tell you right now, I've been reading like advanced reviews, advanced screenings, and people talking about like what they saw. And people are saying that this Carmichael Manor is scarier than the original Hell House. And I know that they always put out the good shit when a new movie comes out, and they're always saying, they, of course, they're not going to say like, this sucks compared to the original or whatever. This has nothing to do with Abaddon Hotel. It's completely, but it's all going to tie together apparently. And I believe that it will, because Stephen Cognetti is a fucking genius. And it was Dread Central got an exclusive clip to Carmichael Manor that I got the alert for on my phone at 11:30 in the morning when I went to lunch at 1:00 and the sun was directly over me and I was sitting at a picnic bench. I started watching that clip and it freaked me out so fucking bad I couldn't fucking finish it. Oh, I'm so excited. Get your fucking free trial. And after your free trial's up, bitch, cough it up, okay? I'm poor and I'm single and I still could afford $7.41 a fucking month for Shudder. So get it. And give me a fucking break. Skip your fucking Starbucks for a day.
Yeah.
You basic pumpkin spice bitches.
There's a lot of great streaming services out there. Like Shudder's great, Screenbox is great, in my opinion.
And they're all not that expensive.
No, they're very inexpensive. Don't get Netflix. Just say fuck Netflix. Get the fuck out of here. You could literally get Shudder and Screenbox for less than you pay for fucking Netflix now. It's ridiculous.
Damn, we're getting rid of Netflix.
Oh, I know, it kills me because they make giant turtle shows, and I'm like, I need to watch giant turtle shows.
Yeah, just get it for the giant turtle show and then cancel it. It's fine.
I know.
There's certain things I have to watch through.
This is our comment section of the show where we go to all the social medias and we ask people's opinions on the movies we are covering. So we, of course, go to X, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Facebook and ask, what do you think of Hell House LLC? And we got a few. Just on
Is X separate now?
I just go
It's
Twitter/X. It's the same thing.
It's
still Twitter.com.
social media.
I know.
But we got a couple responses over on Twitter. I'm just going to say Twitter. Our first one is from Half Price Horror, or at Half Horror, who said, it's a fun movie, but I can't say I'm ever scared by it because I can't put myself in the position mentally. I'm not going, oh, what would I do if that was me? Because the answer is not be in the fucking hotel.
Yeah.
Cat Tsunami, at Cat Tsunami Pod, or Chat Tsunami, God, I can't read, who said, I completely forgot about this one. It was an interesting premise, but from what I remember, it was an all right ending. At eBunny061 says, love this movie. We have patron in front of the show, Jason, or at Nerdrovert, who said, so much fun. A few genuine scares that were not expected. As for my favorite, One Cut of the Dead, and it's not even close. Oh yeah, I did ask in the tweet, what is your favorite found footage film? And I think that was the only one that we got an actual answer to. And our last one is from Pop B, or at D3LVUS, who just says, first one is the best of the series so far. Uses the follow-up footage from news outlets and eyewitness accounts to add another layer to the typical found footage film. I don't think we got anything on Instagram. So thank you to everybody who sent us a comment, because we always love reading them on the show. All right, Dan, did you want to tell your story?
Yes, real quick. All right. So there I was. I was 13 years old. What are we in? So I'm 38 now? So yeah, I'm 37. I'm 38 next year. Sorry. So
listen, don't make me older than I
24 years old. We had an abandoned property catty corner to the apartment complex I lived in, surrounded by a tree row. I live in the Midwest. There was a lot of windbreak tree rows. So me and my buddy's like, hey, let's sneak into this house. I'm like, great. That's one I hadn't been in yet. Let's totally fucking do this. So we snuck into the house. It's on the outskirts of this town I lived in. We walked in. You walk in, there's a grain silo on your right, big fucking old farmhouse on the left. We figured we can't get into the doors, but they've got an outside cellar access. Go through the cellar access, worm our way back through. Upstairs, go up through the kitchen. There's a bunch of junk in it. We found a fucking drawer, like a suitcase, an old suitcase, full of checks, like just written checks. Like, I don't know if then look at the back of them, see if there's a sign where it's like, this is unusual as fuck. So just a whole suitcase full of them. And then we went around the house, looked for some more, went upstairs, found huge plates of glass and styrofoam. And this one room it was a big open room upstairs. It was a big window, all these big things. We ended up breaking them, like, because we were pieces of shit teenagers. That was the only thing we broke in the house. We're like, fuck it, we're done here. Let's leave. We've been in the house for like an hour, 15 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. One thing I want to note, when we came up through the basement, we did find an old porn mag. It was just laid out, open. So we went back to the house, went down.
Was it crusty?
We just looked. I didn't pick it up.
You didn't
I'm assuming it probably was. But we went back out through the cellar entrance, started walking back to the road. So the house had been right, like grain silo on the left. And the dude, when a guy was with us, like, holy shit, look up there. And I turn, and in the window of the same room I was just in, it's an older house, I could only see from here, top, down, and it was this dude, butt fucking naked, dick out, just in the window. And this dude was like, I remember being like a well-built motherfucker. Like, he was cut. He was not like this fat, gross dude. He was just like this, and just like fucking full mast at the window. And we just bolted in the same room we were just in before we left. Sure as shit. That's a dick window story.
Was it a ghost dick?
I don't know. On the run, I remember I ran and I fell and I cut my knee open, and I still have a scar, I think, there from when I cut my knee on a piece of metal.
Wow. What a story.
I stumbled into the Chris Hansen house.
I must have. It's not a great story, but it was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me as a kid.
So what were your plans here tonight?
This guy had different intentions than us, apparently.
Oh,
may not have came out of that house if we weren't careful. We didn't hear anybody else there. It was just me and this guy I was with. So anyway.
Well, before we go, and before we
is a hell house.
Before we let Boomer and Gabby tell us where they can find us, we're going to talk. We're just going to state what we're going to be doing next week. We're going to be talking about a movie that is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and we also have a guest for it. We have fellow podcaster Antonio from the Cultworthy podcast on to talk about. I just got this beautiful 4K Blu-ray in The Exorcist from 1973. We figured since The Exorcist Believer is out and this original film is 50 years old this year, so it's a good time to rewatch it. I haven't seen this movie in a very long time, and it's going to be fun to talk about it with somebody who is very well versed in like classic movies. So it's going to be a lot of fun to, and it's going to be great to watch it in 4K. 'Cause I think the last time I watched it was on like AMC in 1998 or something. I don't know. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, next week is The Exorcist. And then we got some fun stuff coming on in the future. But before we go, Gabby, Boomer, tell us where we can find your wonderful show. And of course, you too as well.
You can find us anywhere that you get your podcast. That is Podcast in the Woods. You can find us on Instagram or Twitter at Woods Podcast 1. We're on Facebook and the Slasher app. Just download the Slasher app and just search for us on either one of those at Podcast in the Woods. You can email the show at podcastinthewoods1@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon if you feel so inclined, and that is patreon.com/Woods Podcast. And yeah, that's about it. And if you're feeling extra generous, rate us and review us on whatever you listen to your shows on, and we really appreciate it. We love our listeners. We love to interact with y'all, and that's it.
I can attest to that. Boomer and Gabby, they put a lot out on the social medias. They're very interactive. It's a good time. Gabby, I'm giving you credit. Just take it.
I don't know why. Listen. Let's have an honest moment here. Heart to heart. I don't do shit on socials. Fuck a social. Fuck a Twitter. I don't give a fuck. Twitter X, Twitter bullshit. I don't care. Boomer does all of that. If you want to talk to me, you have to go to Slasher.
Something
I
the
can't.
one
I can't
app we're
with
not
all
on.
of these. Well, if you guys want to talk to me, tell Booms that you want to email me or text me.
All right.
He has my number.
We'll do that.
But I'm just saying, like, yeah, no, it's socials. It's our bread and butter, but I don't give a shit.
So all the links to Podcast in the Woods will be down in the description as well. Make sure you go follow them on all of the social medias, and make sure to follow this wonderful show because it's awesome. It's funny as hell. And I'm just going to shout out the episode we were on. Make sure you go over and listen to our Dead Alive episode because it is amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's so good. It was such a blast.
I apologize in advance to anybody who hasn't heard it yet.
Oh man, it's so good. It's very good. Also, listen to our last episode on our show. The last time they were on, that we talked about Predator from 1987. That was a fantastic episode. Make sure to go listen to everything. So this is our third collaboration. Actually, me and Boomer talked about Smile together. Like, we've done a lot of stuff over the last, year and a half or however long we've known each other. So make sure to check out all those great episodes. And of course, you can find us on all the social medias at Dissect That Film. And clearly you're listening to us on your favorite podcast service. So you should make sure to rate and review the show. Please. It helps our show grow, and it helps get into more people's ear holes, because that's where we want to be. We want to be in the ear holes. And you can follow us on YouTube as well.
Herbert.
I'm sorry. It's not what I meant, but okay. You can follow us at YouTube at youtube.com/ at Dissect That Film, where we have the video versions of all of our podcasts. Nothing special, just you get to see our faces talk about the same thing that you're going to hear on the audio versions. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/ Dissect That Film, where we have 3 tiers as of right now. We have $1 tier. We have a $3 tier which is our new home for our Monster Zone show. And then we have a $5 tier, which will have extra stuff come 2024. So we got a lot of stuff brewing over there. And I think that's about it. Dan and Angela.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Everybody look out for when Angela and I take over the podcasting world.
Yes.
We are going to become the most prolific podcasters of all time.
Hell yeah.
We're going to run the world. You're welcome.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Looking forward to it.
And of course, I want to thank all of our patrons over on Patreon, because you are amazing and you help us grow. And we thank you for your contributions to the show. And to everybody who listens to the show and watches the show, we love you. And thank you so much for everything you do for us, because this has been a lot of fun. And if it weren't for you guys, hyping us up, we wouldn't be doing this, hanging out with awesome people like Boomer and Gabby. It's always a great time. Who cares if it's almost 3 hours long? That's just how this shit works. And it's a blast.
I'm so sorry.
We don't care. I don't care. I'll care when I edit. That's the only time I care. Oh, Lord. Well, I think that's about it. Thank you again, Boomer, Gabby.
Thanks,
you
guys,
are
so much.
amazing.
Thank you.
You guys
Yeah,
are a
love
blast
y'all.
to have on. And until next time, I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. And that is Gabby and Boomer of Podcast in the Woods. And this has been the Dissect That Film Podcast, episode 132. We'll see y'all again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.